Grind don't stop. Grind don't stop. Grind don't stop. Grind don't stop. Grind don't stop.
Hello, welcome to Chewed Gum. Today is April 28th, and this is a show about rejecting purity culture, challenging misogyny, and the effects of religious trauma on women. My name is Alyssa.
And I'm Taylor. How are you doing?
Girl, bleeding, and I hate it.
Yeah, that is tragic.
It's called a warmie. And
oh, girl, I have like 3 warmies.
I love my warmie more than anything.
It's the best invention. It's so good because they're cute.
Yeah.
It's a stuffed animal. It's a warming pad.
But it's so cozy and warm. Yeah. And honestly, I was thinking about it earlier today because, like, I don't know if you've had this experience. Actually, this is a weird thing, and this is sort of TMI, but I'm just curious if other people have had this experience. When I was younger, like when I was in my 20s, I didn't really have like PM, like it just didn't even bother me. Like PMS didn't bother me. Like my mood didn't really change that much. Like it was just like fine, an inconvenience, but fine. Now I literally call it demon time. I'm like, don't fucking look at me. Are you serious? I told my fiance earlier today, I don't actually fucking care what you think about. Like it was just I feel it. I can feel and hear myself being insane, but I can't stop it. It's just happening.
Yeah, when I was younger, I feel like I would be in a lot more pain and stuff, but as an adult, I will get like there's a name for it, and I used to talk about it with my therapist. I wish I could remember the name. Maybe you do.
Is it PMDD?
Yes. Like, yeah. I will spiral into like a deep depression and be like, oh my gosh, my life is going to end almost every time. And I'm like, damn, what is that? It's so obnoxious. And yeah, it's hard to snap out of. And it's also hard because if someone were to say, like, it's because of this, I'd be like, screw off.
Literally, fuck you, as it turns out. Don't talk to me.
Turns out. No, actually, though. So, yeah, I feel you on that. It's rough.
It also, like, it bothers me because in the moment that it's happening, and I'm like, I want to peel my skin off in layers. Right. I'm like, this feels horrible. And then I'm like, there's all that like stupid, what's it called? Thing about women shouldn't be leaders because they're hormonal. And most of the time I'm like, that's really stupid. But on days like today.
But it's also like, I feel like so many women have experience with that and they have to still live their everyday life that it's like, we're used to it. And I feel like when a lot of men, obviously, well, we know that they do a lot of violent things when they're angry, but I feel like a lot of men aren't good at controlling it. It's like, dude, I go through this every month and I still do my normal routine and still have to interact with people all the time. So like I would, get through it even if I was angry.
I think, was I telling you about how I was watching like a horror actress talk about her C-section experience? And I don't remember.
I can't remember either. Maybe you start saying it.
Yeah, maybe. So she was talking about her whole experience and how like awful it was. And she was like, at the end of it, she was like, well, I think that we're getting better at talking about this stuff, but I think the reason why we're not so open about how like a C-section actually goes, an emergency C-section at least, is because people are scared that if you are really honest, women won't do it anymore.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah. I
yeah,
do
and she
remember
was
this.
like, fuck that. Women do crazy, insane stuff all the time, knowingly. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, I feel like I said this last time, but it's probably important to talk about those risks. Like
Hmm.
to pretend like you shouldn't talk about it, I feel like it's being a bit manipulative towards
Yeah,
people who are thinking about having kids or giving birth or whatever. So
totally. And I
screw
think
that.
even if people were honest in the moment where like you need an emergency C-section, what at that point they're like, get this fucking thing out of my
Yeah,
body.
right,
And they'll probably still do the thing anyway. So
right,
just tell them what it's going to be. If you have
right.
3 minutes, just tell them.
Yeah,
Someone in the chat said
exactly.
men can't handle colds. Okay, so the day before yesterday, I don't know what happened. Kevin was really not feeling good. He felt kind of dizzy the day before, and then the next day he was like wiped out. His throat was sore and he had a headache, but like no fever, just wiped out. And in my head, he was like, I don't want to get you sick. I don't want to get you sick. And in my head, I was like, I wonder if I get exactly the thing that you have.
How you react or
Yeah,
how
like I
do you
wonder
feel?
if I would do the same thing. But I don't know how,
Yeah,
I don't want to like be mean or like invalidating because he hasn't been sick around me very much, so I don't know if he's like a big baby about it, but I was like, I
yeah.
wonder.
Unfortunately, I feel like I'm a big baby when I'm sick
Mhm.
because I went through so long with never ever getting sick. And so
Yeah,
when I finally did start getting sick, which is now more often, I'm like, wow, what is this? I can't function. I can't do anything.
brutal. I know. Well, now it's more of like it's the will. It's the will to
Right.
do things when I'm
Yeah.
not, when I don't feel well. It's like I have enough free will in my body where I'm like, I don't need to fucking do anything because I don't feel
Right.
well.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I feel that.
Um, in the chat, they're talking a little bit about like the women in leadership thing. And I always think it's interesting that they talk about women not being good for leadership roles, but like women's traditional role is to raise the entire generation, which feels like a leadership role to me. It feels like the
Oh, yeah.
ultimate leadership role.
Yeah, and one thing I notice, even in families, a lot of families that say the man is the leader or whatever, a
Yeah.
lot of times it's just not true. I mean, like
Leader of what?
they'll say that, and then I watch how the woman is in the family, and I'm like, she running this whole thing, like
Right.
actually this whole thing. But
Have you ever watched Desperate Housewives before?
no, but it's like my best friend's favorite show. She's obsessed with it,
Okay. Well,
and
you
I
got
need to
to
watch
watch
it, I
it.
feel.
You really
Yeah.
should. It's
Okay, so
very
which
good.
one should I start with then? Because there's like a million.
Oh, you're talking about Real Housewives. The
Oh,
Real
wait,
Housewives.
what is it? Desperate
So
Housewife?
Desperate Housewife. What is
Is a
that?
show still? And or a reality TV show or no?
No, it's a scripted show and it's like
Oh,
20 years old now, but it's about a group of housewives in like the suburban town. And I was doing a little bit of rewatching. One of the wives she has like kids that are insane, two of which the school keeps telling her they need to get evaluated for ADHD and she won't do it. And she's basically internalizing it as I can't control my kids and I'm a bad mother and I don't want to like she literally says dope them up. And I was like, wow, like that what a change in attitude we've had from then to now about like getting your kid treated. But at the same time, I'm like, well, that's also the generation of moms that raised us. Like it was that mentality, which is
yeah.
so it was very interesting to see. But she used to have a corporate job. She had started to have kids, and her husband was like, this is great. You could stay home. And he keeps making all of these comments about how oh yeah, people in the chat, they watch it. Yeah, Lynette. I'm talking about Lynette. Lynette is awesome. Tom sucks. And he would like come home from a work trip and be like, I'm just really exhausted. I'm really just, you don't remember what it's like to work 60 hours a week. And this woman
Oh
has
my
like
gosh.
Someone has like food in her hair, laundry in a basket, and she's like run ragged. And yeah, I don't know. I was watching that earlier today and I was like, wow, women can like
That
really do anything.
I'll never forget that type of thing happened to me where I was a manager for this company for like 7 years, okay? And I finally quit and started like doing content. And
Hmm.
someone who has known me my whole life had the audacity to look me in the eye and be like, "Yeah, nobody really wants to like have real jobs these days." And I was like, I deadass just worked a normal manager job for 7 years. What are you talking about? Like, it just makes me mad because I don't know. People are so weird about that kind of thing
I
about
know.
work and jobs in general. And yeah, the invisible labor stuff with women in general pisses me off, especially when they have kids. But
Yeah. And I think
yeah,
that I've definitely we've talked about this before, but that reel that I saw of a guy saying if your partner is telling you you need to be more helpful around the house and like you're looking around like I don't see it, pretend like you hired someone to clean your
yeah,
house. And honestly, like I've given that advice to Kevin before and it's really helped. Like it's just
good.
which is,
That's good.
kind of
Yeah.
terrible, but it does help.
But
So,
hey, if it helps improve, because then I feel like I don't know. I feel like next generations though, and it can be improved even more
yeah.
using like, yeah,
I
I
mean,
agree.
I hope that young boys are taught how to like contribute in that way because
Yeah.
I don't think my brother was really taught how to like clean and what like that's
Yeah. Yeah. No,
so I don't know, it's
why not?
systematic and whatever. Um, anyway, we do have some lines that are still open. We do have callers, but that are waiting very patiently. Thank you very much. And we do have some lines that are open. So if you want to call, you can call 720-619-2288 or use the web link that's in the description. And as a reminder, super chats of $5 or more will be read at the end of the show. And super chats, along with being a patron, help support this show, but they also support all of the shows on the line. So if you like this lovely show, this time slot, or you like any of the other ones, it really does help us all be able to, continue doing this. So I really fear for the callers today because I'm already like
Y'all better watch out.
I know. And it really, I
No,
have
I like it, unfortunately, but I'm toxic in that way. So
it
I
really,
don't like that you're suffering, but
yeah, I know, but it does make for like like spicy reactions to things for sure.
yeah,
Um,
you'll
but
survive.
yeah. Wait, did you end up getting Colin's studio?
Yes, I
Okay.
did.
Do you see the second call that's in here, by the way? The one right in the middle?
Oh, yeah.
Fascinating.
Interesting. I do have a lot of thoughts on that one
Okay, cool.
specifically.
Should we start with our theist first, since
Yeah.
that's what we do here? Um,
Yes.
okay, cool. Let me see if there's any kind. Wait, I'm kind of feeling like okay. Sorry, I just want to see if there's anything else happening in the chat before we start taking calls. Oh, and also, did you see the new debate show that Jimmy did with Jovan?
I like knew of it, but no, I didn't see it yet. Did it? So it's been
I
out yet, or the
Yeah,
first
it's
one
out.
was done?
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet either. I have it open in a tab. The guys that they debated were just like one of them. I can't remember his name. It's like Euro something. He was on the top right of the screen. He is wearing a suit and has an American flag with Trump printed on it in the background.
Ew. Okay, wait. So my question is, so these are like planned with people. It's not people who like call in or whatever. It's like
No,
people
no,
that
no.
that get invited or
Yeah, it's
something.
planned. Planned.
Oh, interesting. I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, Timu Fuentes, that's exactly what he looked like. And then
Oh my God.
Jimmy was like, I feel like, I don't know, maybe I need to be like dressed up more or like look more put together for these kinds of things. And I was like, I think it makes you look creepy.
Yeah, because like I mean maybe like I don't yeah. It's not I feel like I get it if people are at Like I've seen it where it's more, I don't even know what to call it. Like you're in front of an audience, you're on a stage. I get that.
Yeah,
But like I
yeah.
feel like online, like who cares?
I don't know. Just wear like a plain black t-shirt, call it a
Yeah.
day, and it's
Yeah, I
fine.
agree.
Um, it's so funny.
I cannot
Anyways,
wait to watch that though.
yeah, I know. I think maybe I'll watch it tonight while I'm like
Same.
making dinner or something and just take a little meander in that direction. All right, well, let's pull in our first caller. We have Alex who is calling from California. Hi, Alex.
Oh, am I there?
Alex? Oh, there you are.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello? Oh, right on. Yeah, thank you.
So
Yeah, so I
what
was
did
just
you want to talk
calling.
about today?
Well, I'm a believer in Jesus. I think most of your listeners are not. Yeah, I would be curious to understand why, in this prompt specifically, I think you say God doesn't do anything for us. Obviously, I believe that He does everything for us. Um,
hmm
that perspective, that's your personal view. That's not the view of all of your listeners. That's just something on your mind today, correct?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't think there's
Okay.
proof that God does anything for us, so that is what I think.
Doesn't Has that always been the case?
No, I was a Christian like up until 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay.
3 years ago.
Yeah, I wasn't. I wasn't raised that way. I think the way I look at things is, I think there's three things that every person. I mean, there's more, right? But three things. One, principally, is a good foundation. For kids, for adults, security, right? That's important to all of us. I think knowing where we come from, knowing where we're going, knowing we have a bed to sleep in, that foundation, that's number one. That's key. A
But you don't
two-parent
know
household. I was
Jesus
raised by
doesn't
two.
Jesus doesn't get like Jesus is not a fortune teller and can't guarantee any of those things. So what does that have to do with Jesus having like the roof over your head? You can be an atheist and prioritize having a roof over your head. I would argue that most human beings would.
No, 100%, 100%. I'm not. Let me expand a little bit. But you would agree that those things are important. Having a foundation, right? You're a kid, two parents at home means a lot. Knowing that your parents have a good relationship, parents have work, security, right? Again, having a bed to sleep in at night. But these are not things that we all have. And you're right, 100%. These are not all things that God promises. I'm just saying that, like foundationally, that's something that as human beings, we desire for one another. Solid foundation. When we fall back, there's something there. Knowing again where we came from, knowing where we're going. 100%. I'm not saying that I know what's going to happen tomorrow. I know what's going to happen 10 years from now. I have faith, I have belief, but I'm not saying that I know for certain. The next thing, number two, is that we all go through life experiences. There's trauma. There's things that happen to us, right? Something that's very important. I'm sure, speaking for myself, I know I needed it, right? I needed some direction, correction, some help, because there's just things that we experience and it's like, whoa, like how do I deal with this? Like, this is crazy. Healing, healing. Having an experience that you regret, something you wish you can take back, knowing that you're going to be forgiven for it, knowing that that can be taken off of your shoulders. I know for certain that there are a lot of people listening in right now, and they have something that they wish they could take back, that they wish they couldn't do. There's something hanging over their head that they wish they could just remove from their mind, something that even keeps them up at night. And for every human being, I think a lot of people, they manage that in different ways, whether it's it can be a therapy, it can be medication. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. I won't say that. I would never say that. There's not anything wrong with seeking help. Medication, therapy, if that helps, I'm for it. Some people, it's drugs. Some people, it's alcohol. Some people, it's video games. But having that as well is important. And then the last thing, real quick, I'll connect it to Christ. The The last
Okay.
thing is hope, having something to look forward to. I think that's very important. Purpose, right? Why are you in a career that you've chosen? You have to see value in it. You have to see meaning. You have to see that it's going to bring you something tomorrow. Otherwise, you wouldn't waste your time on it. Otherwise, what does that say about you? I believe that the Bible, Jesus Christ, I believe that he answers all three. For me personally, again, this is just, I'm not saying I'm not going to dig at anybody for having a different belief. I'm just explaining why I have accepted the Christian worldview. I choose to believe that God created the world as an understanding of like where I came from, why everything is. That was one of my biggest wrestles. Why are we here? What's the meaning of it all? Why not just do X, Y, Z, whatever I want in my head, and knowing and believing that, God always was, always is, always will be. I take great comfort in that. Healing, and number two important thing. Like I said, there were things that were just on my shoulders, on my back that I wish that I could remove. And when I understood the gospel, the message of salvation, that while I haven't always lived my life the way most every day, I don't. The way that God desired, that he still desires me, that he's willing to forgive me of my sins, accept me as a child, and love me despite my faults, and embrace me and offer me eternal life, and even die for me. And then when I put my faith and trust in that, I can't even put words into that. But it was like you just lifted this burden off my shoulder, like you strapped it onto the Millennium Falcon and just put it into hyperspace. Can't even describe it. It was like that weight was like gone. That burden was gone. And now I have comfort, and peace, where I used to have like, man, how do I process these things? I was like, I've been forgiven. It's great.
Yeah.
And then you have hope,
Alex,
right?
do you mind letting Taylor just get a word in, because otherwise it ends up feeling we are.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
We'll lose track of what you're saying.
The problem I have with the number two thing of like God forgiving whatever, I think sometimes it can be a good thing, and sometimes I think it can be a super negative thing, where really awful people think that they don't actually have to do the work, or actually, I don't know, get forgiveness from other people, because this idea that God will forgive me and wipe away my sins gives the opportunity to a lot of horrible people to think that they can just move on from horrible things they've done. An example of this is, I cannot tell you how many Christians I've met who think that Jeffrey Dahmer went to heaven because at the end of his life he decided to say that God forgave me and now I get to go to heaven. I think it is a doorway for a lot of very awful people. There's an actor right now, I wish I could remember his name, maybe Alyssa, you know who I'm talking about. Is it, I don't even want to say and get it wrong. He's doing like a book tour right now of his Christian book, and he just talked about how he had sex with like a 16-year-old. He is going to court. People in chat will know who I'm talking about. He's going to court for assaulting women, all of this different stuff, and he gets just to say that, God forgives me. I get to move on. Do those women get to move on from the trauma he caused them? I just see this over and over again, where terrible, terrible people jump into Christianity because it gives this Russell Brand.
Oh,
people
he's the worst.
He is, and I see this all the time, especially with like, I mean, it happens with women and men, but I see this a lot with men who do these really heinous, awful things, and they say, well, God forgave me and my slate is wiped clean. And I think it allows a lot of abusers and awful people to get away with awful things, because in the religion, God's authority, God's forgiveness is what matters the most, and not other things. And that really bothers me.
100%. I agree with everything you said. I mean, I can't read other people's hearts. I know that they're going to suffer in hell worse than Saddam Hussein and Hitler, because they're saying that they belong to God.
In your opinion, what sends people to hell versus heaven, though?
What sends people to hell versus heaven? I believe that the only way a sinner can enter into heaven is by believing that God lived the perfect life that you could never live, died the death that you
Right.
deserve.
So those awful
And-
people get to go to heaven that I just talked about. That's
No, I'm not
like
saying that.
my entire
I'm not,
issue.
I'm
Yeah,
not
but
saying
no,
that.
But
If they-
no, but if they
Russell-
believed in God, if they believed in God,
Russell-
and
yeah.
then
Let me-
he would.
Yeah, great. So what happens when someone is sincere in their faith is, you've heard the term, born again. The Bible says you must be born again. And again, there's a lot of people that say they're born again, right? They're going to say whatever. Doesn't the Bible
And what if
talk
they
about
are?
that
What if
that
they
the
are?
devil
If
appears
they-
as an angel
If they
of light?
really truly, Alex, if they really, really, truly believe, that that God exists, and they repented, and they believe in Jesus and God and whatever, and that saved their soul. Now, everything that they did their entire life doesn't matter, because they were like, "Ooh, sorry," and now
Two
doesn't matter?
parts. So if the Bible says that you'll know them by their fruits. You'll know them by their fruits. So if someone is producing bad fruit and they're not living a life like Jesus, then that's
Yeah, but it's
evidence that
after
the person is
they
a
prove.
hypocrite, right? Is it?
It's
That's a
after they
hypocrite.
produce
Now,
the
if
bad
somebody's on
fruit.
their deathbed, if someone's on their deathbed and they profess faith and it's sincere, well, who are we to judge why God would forgive somebody?
Well, that's
Why
my
can't God
issue,
forgive?
Alex. That's my entire issue.
That's
I
your-
think that's bullshit. I think that's bullshit because
the
a lot
deathbed?
of people.
That if somebody's
Yes,
on
a
their
lot of
deathbed and they're
yes.
sincere,
I think
they
that's bullshit
sincerely
because,
are
like
sad?
you. Yes, I think that's bullshit because, like, the way you described, a lot of people, most Christians I know, believe the way you described. And so a lot of them say that if Jeffrey Dahmer was sincere about asking for forgiveness from God, well, he just gets to live in heaven now. And all of those gay men that he killed and ate, if they weren't Christian, they go to hell. I think that's really messed up. I think that's disgusting. And I think it's unjust. And I think it's a messed up system that the most important thing is giving God validation. Why is
But
that
if-
the most important
But
thing?
if somebody asks for forgiveness, if somebody comes to you, now
I
don't
don't
know a lot
care
about
if they
these
ask
men
for
that you're talking
forgiveness.
about, Russell Brand. No, I'm just telling
You
you
really-
personally, if somebody came to you, you have the freedom to forgive somebody or not, right? You have the freedom to forgive
Correct.
somebody or not. That should tell you how much God is not like you, that if they are sincere in desiring to repent means to turn around.
Wait, hold on.
You
Hold on,
recognize
Alex. That isn't that what the difference between me and God is. I actually care about what somebody did. I don't care about somebody giving me validation. That's not my number one thing. If my husband assaulted somebody, treated somebody like garbage and said, "Well, I love you. Like I'm going to choose you." I don't care because I care about how they treat other people. In this situation, God cares more about his own validation than he cares about what these people did to others, because that's the most important thing to him is people saying that they believe in him or choosing him.
It's not about the validation. It's about the fact that you're made in the image of God. So you're a child of God.
And you acknowledge that. That's called giving him
sin and
validation.
You can fall short, but he will still take you back if you come back. And
Only
you desire to
only
be
if
with
you
him.
choose him.
He will
Only if
forgive
you
you.
give him validation.
Yeah, if you
Only
give him the
validation.
if you give him the
It's
validation that
it's
you
free will.
believe him,
It's free.
but
it's
that's
free
not.
will.
But that's
It's free
That
will.
doesn't
That
change.
is-
That
have
doesn't
free
change.
will.
that
what I
doesn't
said.
change
He didn't
anything.
make us
Doesn't
to be
change the
robots.
fact that it's a
He's not
shitty
going to force
rule.
anyone into heaven. He will not force you into heaven if you don't
Yeah,
want to
he'll
be
just
with
force
him.
you into hell. He'll
He
just
won't
force
force
you
you.
into a
Exactly.
burning hell.
No, he's not forcing you into
if
hell. You're choosing
so
it.
if
He's not forcing
if
anybody. You choose
Taylor
it.
and I, Alex, enough. If Taylor and I have lived lives where we have never once attempted to or successfully killed anyone ever, and we decide, listen, God stuff's not for us. It doesn't serve us. We don't believe it to be true. And we die. We go to hell. Even though we lived perfectly giving, virtuous lives. And then
Well,
someone
you haven't.
like Alex,
There are plenty of
wait
people who
your
have.
turn. Wait
And you
your
also
turn.
don't
Nobody who
know.
has.
Wait
Who
your
has?
turn. Wait
Give
your
me an
turn.
example.
Wait your turn.
sorry,
Wait your
sorry.
turn. And then you have someone who is a serial killer who at the end of his life is like, listen, I fucked up. I'm so sorry about that. But I do believe in God. I do believe he's real. And now I'm very scared of the consequences. And so now, yeah, I am a believer and this happens a lot. As people get older, they become very religious because they see the light at the end of the tunnel and it looks much, much scarier than it did in their 20s. So now they all of a sudden start to give a fuck. We see this all the time. So why in the world would a person who has committed crime after crime after crime, removed people from this earth with violating that person's free will? Where the hell is that for the victim's free will to not die? And now this serial killer gets to go to heaven because they fluffed God's ego? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And if that is the case, if you tell me, yes, unfortunately, like that's how it works, I don't want to be a part of that. I don't care. That's like unjust and not a God that I want. I don't respect that. I think that that's, as Taylor said, a shitty system.
Paul killed Christians, and he was somebody that God used to build the church. God,
who cares? I don't even believe that Paul existed.
He literally
I don't believe Paul even existed. Who cares?
Christians.
I know.
He's verified by most historians. I mean,
but I don't.
Jesus.
But I don't care about what Paul did or didn't do. That still doesn't change the fact that it's a shitty rule and it's a shitty system, and it encourages people to do whatever they want. So as long as on their deathbed they decide that they feel really bad about it and they do believe in God, and now they really do in their heart of hearts believe in God, believe in Jesus, and now they get to go to heaven. Fuck that. Absolutely not. And I also don't believe, you mentioned earlier in the call in like your first whole dissertation about this, that you believe that being a part of the church, believing in God, it gives you structure, it makes you a better person. And if you have trauma and blah, blah, what about all the trauma that the Catholic Church specifically, I'll speak to that because that's what I grew up in, has imposed on people. The purity culture that I deal with every single day of my life in my job, every single day. People who are tortured by things that they learned because as a result of purity culture. What about all of the tens of thousands of priests that sexually assault young boys in their congregation? What about that? Those are people who literally couldn't be closer to the church.
And they didn't have free will to stop it. God cared
Right.
more about the free will.
I'm with you on all that. I wasn't raised a Catholic. I didn't have that experience. I don't know a lot about
this system,
Catholic experiences, but I'm just
it would
telling
appear
you
that the system does not make a difference. It would appear that the system believing in God doesn't make a difference. All it does is make it so that when you very selfishly get to the end of your life and you are scared, you decide all of a sudden that you need to like make a mad dash into your religion so that you are in the high favor of whoever your God is. It doesn't encourage good behavior before that, especially when you have a little like freebie out where you can just go to confession and be cleansed of your sins versus living in the real world where you have to accept responsibility for your actions and you do have to make amends. And guess what? Not everybody is going to accept your apology, and that's the way that you learn and you improve on who you are to your community. But if instead you have this system where you can do as you please, but as long as you kiss God's feet and apologize, then all is good and you get to go to heaven, which is extremely selfish.
It seems as though your view is that the people in heaven are going to be full of people that are worse than those who are in hell. Is that your view?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay. I mean, everything that you're bringing up against the Catholic Church, when I was growing up, I heard the same stuff. I didn't want anything to do with religion for that reason either. It was my wife who actually, I used to always ask the question, how can a loving God send somebody to hell who has never heard of him? Like people in China, people on an island. And I would really wrestle with that. Then I met my wife and she was raised in atheist China. And she was always struggling with the question of how can we come from monkeys? Because that's what she was raised with in China. And she just really had a hard time with that. It, doesn't make sense. And then one day a Christian missionary approached her and said, do you know that you were made by God? And for her, that
Wait, hold on, Alex. Pause really quick.
Oh, go ahead.
How did
Yeah.
you, so what's your answer to that question? Why do you think it's fair now that God would send people to hell who've never heard about him? How do you address that now?
Yeah, I think that if somebody sincerely wants to know God, he'll
They'll
make
just know.
himself known to them like he did to my wife. That was how he answered it for me.
Wait,
Because
no.
again, that was
Wait,
a
Alex,
big
that's not
question
true.
for me.
You said
Hmm?
you said your wife learned about God. I'm talking about people who have never learned about God, the Christian God ever.
Well, this is the answer that I have for you, and this is the answer that he gave to me. Is that I had that question, right? She was somebody that never heard. She had the question.
And then
She
she
desired
did.
to have an answer, and when God used someone to speak to her, she was receptive. And I believe that there's a lot of people that are asking for help, but they're not really very receptive.
What about
You
people
see it all
who
the time.
never, what
There's
about
people on the
people who
street that
never
ask
hear
for,
about it?
they just
Alex,
want a
what about people
handout.
who
They don't
never
want
hear
help.
about it? What about people who never once hear about it? Because statistically,
They
that
didn't want to.
happens.
They didn't want to.
What
They
are you
don't want to.
talking
They don't
about?
want God.
Ridiculous, Alex.
Nobody
want
came
God.
to them and told them about the Christian God, and you're blaming
They
that
don't
person for
want
being
God.
on like a
They don't.
remote
No,
island
I'm
where
not
they
blaming
never
the
hear about
person.
Christianity.
I'm not
Then who's
blaming
to
any
blame?
person. I'm just saying, if they wanted to, God would send them a
That's
plane. He would send them a
That makes
person.
no
And that's what
sense.
he's doing
Alex,
all day
that's the
long.
same thing as blaming them because you're saying if they wanted it bad enough, they would just know he existed, which is absolutely insane and doesn't make any sense.
That's just your view. I can't argue it. Again, I'm just saying in my experience, this is what happened to my wife. So,
Okay, but
Yeah,
that's
but
how
also,
he
no,
answered it
Alex,
for
do you
me.
understand how ridiculous it is that you're telling me because your wife didn't understand evolution, which is well documented and explained by science, because she didn't understand it. She said, well, therefore God. She didn't understand, she didn't accept or understand science that has been proven for decades and we can show evidence for. But she believed a person who came up to their doorstep and said, God created
I
you?
think it's not that. I think
Why?
it's not just that. It's not just that. It's just China. It's a different culture, right? So
But that's, I'm not
she
talking
sees the
about China.
culture that she grew up in, and
I'm talking about you're using this to talk about why people believe in God. It has nothing to do with China. This is your wife. I'm not
And
talking about China.
also, Alex, you keep saying this is what happened to my wife. No, it isn't. Somebody told her about Christianity. These are not the two, like, it's an insane, illogical thing to say that somebody who has never heard about the Christian God should just somehow know if they want it bad enough. That doesn't make any sense.
that's your view. I think that there's a lot of people out there that, again, there's people that on every street corner, they just want your money. They don't want to change. They don't want help. They don't
What
want
does that
God.
have to do with literally
Yes.
anything?
Yes, the
They just give me
church,
the money.
a notoriously,
Just give me
a
your money,
notorious,
right?
a
You know that
notoriously
that's true.
moneyless nonprofit, the church, of course, absolutely, Alex, definitely. What God do you believe in? What church do you belong to?
God wants to give you a new life. He's not
God?
just trying to give you what you want.
Okay.
And a
Yeah,
lot of people, they're not
God
satisfied
wants
with
to
that.
give me a
You-
new
you want-
life. Give me a new life, but as long as I kiss his fucking toes in order. Why? I don't care.
No, it doesn't work like
Half
that.
of the
It
10
doesn't work like
commandments,
that. I don't know
half
where you
of the
get that
10
idea.
commandments,
Where did you ever get
I'll
that
tell you where
idea?
I get the idea. I'll tell you where I get the idea. Half of the 10 commandments are about you believing in God only and only that one God. That's where I get the idea. He wrote it
What's
himself,
wrong with that if he's
apparently.
the only God?
Because it's
that
about
You have one mom and
ego.
It's
dad. How are they
ego.
going to
It
feel
is
if you're going to
ego.
say auntie is my mom or uncle is my dad?
What?
You have one mom and dad.
So?
Your parents, they're your parents, right? They're your only
But
parents.
you think, yes, but
But
you
if
who
you
think
cares?
say, oh, this person is my
everywhere,
mom or this person is my dad, there's one
right? But
God.
that's
So he's saying,
because,
I'm God.
okay,
You
no.
follow me.
No, those are not the same at all.
That's
That
not
doesn't
the
make
same.
any
He knows
sense.
what's best for you. You're his child. He knows what's best. You're not going to listen
He
So
knows
to
he's
what's
his
saying,
best.
father who knows best.
so he's like, no, we're
Don't
talking
lie.
about,
Don't steal. Don't murder. Or those bad
okay,
things.
cool. You can, do you think those things like were invented by Christianity or do you think they existed before Christianity? The concept of being nice to other
Those are just 10. There's
people.
only 2 commandments from Christ. There's only 2 commandments from Christ.
There's not
Love
10
God with all your,
commandments.
right? Like there's just 2,
There's
and
not
then
10
love your neighbor as
commandments.
yourself. Those are and then that's all the commandments. Love your neighbor as yourself, and yeah, love God first. He's number
Oh.
1, and that's all the commandments.
Okay.
When you become a Christian, you have freedom. You have freedom. You have more freedom than if you're not a Christian.
No, you
You
don't.
don't have freedom to.
Then
That's
I might-
crazy.
no, you don't. I've been both, and that's just not true. Like people say that, but it's not true. Like the whole system is based around guilt and shame. I don't think there's
Why do you
freedom in
get
that.
angry?
And
Why do you get
there's
angry?
what?
Why do you get angry? Why do you get angry? When
I'm
you're angry
angry
about
because
something,
my
why do I
uterine
get-
my uterine lining is shedding, and I've started the day pissed off. I'll end the day pissed off, and it is what it is.
Anger is a human emotion,
But like
Alex.
in your
I don't.
household, you said that you said that you're married. Like what makes you get angry? Like in relationships, in day to day, like where does the anger stem from?
It's a human emotion. I don't know what you're trying to ask. It's the same as being happy or sad. It's just a human emotion. I don't understand what the question is.
I also do
used
you
to
genuinely
wrestle with,
think do you genuinely think
Mhm.
that like Christian men don't get angry? That is the silliest
No, I
thing I've
wouldn't say
ever
that at
heard
all.
in my
I'm not
life.
trying to say that. No, not at all. Hey, Christians are sinners. We're just broken people.
Oh, Christians are sinners.
acknowledge
I
it.
asked you before what God you believe in, and I don't think I got an answer. Sorry. What God do you
I
believe
believe
in?
in Jesus. I
Okay,
believe
well,
in
do you
Jesus.
do you
Jesus of the
belong
Bible.
to a religion?
Non-denominational. Non-denominational.
Okay.
I consider myself
Okay.
a Christian. Yeah, I consider myself a Christian.
Oh,
Student of the Bible.
okay. So you really think that Christian people are not violent?
A real Christian should not be violent. You can
Real
defend
Christian.
yourself.
A real
Christian
Christian.
should not hurt or abuse, cuss out.
But they do.
No.
They do every
But they
day.
do. They do.
How do
They
you know that
absolutely do.
How do you know that they're real? Like I wouldn't say like there's somebody
Okay,
who's
but
an
have you
ever-
abuser, a
Because-
murderer, that they're going to go to
I
heaven.
don't have time for a no
Where
true
is that in the Bible?
Scotsman fallacy.
Where does
Do you-
it say in the Bible that you can say
Alex,
you
but
can say
here's
you
but
believe
Alex, here's the
You're
gonna
problem.
go to heaven?
Here's the problem, Alex. Alex, there is something called the no true Scotsman fallacy. Have you ever heard this before?
No, you guys, honestly, you guys are way smarter than me. I'll acknowledge that. When it comes
It's not
to
about smart.
academics,
It's not about smart.
I'm not an
It's not about
intellectual
smart.
person.
It's not about smart or not. Like these are all things that I learned from doing this show. I would never have learned any of them had I not done it. So it's not about smart. It's like just something you haven't been exposed to yet. But the reason that I bring it up is it basically says that you, Alex, are a Christian because you say so, but another person who doesn't go by the same rules that work for you, or a person who undoes the theory that you're trying to put forth, they are not a Christian. And you get to decide who is and who isn't a Christian based on what works best for you and your rules. And so that is moving the goalpost. And that does not allow for us to have a productive conversation, because anytime we give
No,
you
that's not
information
fair.
that is to
That's
the
not fair.
contrary. Hey, I'm not done. Hey, hold on.
told you
Hold on.
Jesus'
Hold on. Alex, hold on.
commandments, love.
Hold on.
Huh?
Alex, I will
Yeah.
hang up on you if you keep doing that, because it's not cool, okay? If we give you evidence to the contrary of what you are saying, and then you turn around and you say, well, that's not a real Christian. Okay, so then who's real Christians? Only you? That makes no sense. If you're going to tell me that everything that is doesn't apply to what the rules that you're putting forward, then okay, then you can give yourself exceptions all day long and we don't have a conversation to have anymore.
Also, I want to add, Alex, I know the like they're not a real Christian or they aren't is bullshit, because there's Christians every single day that tell me that I wasn't an actual Christian, and they can say that, right? But I actually believed the whole Jesus and God thing. Like I actually believed it with my entire everything, that was true. So that's why I know that stuff is bullshit, because people all the time, if a Christian's doing something they don't like, which sometimes that involves leaving Christianity, then all of a sudden they aren't real Christians because then they don't have to take accountability for any of the for any of the harmful stuff that happens in religion. They don't actually have to face the fact that real harm can be done in the name of the religion. They just get to say, well, they aren't real Christians. And that's how they're able to dismiss the fact that I was a Christian, then I left, because they don't want to deal with the fact that people can no longer be convinced or something like that. It's easier to just say you weren't a Christian. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, I think that's fair what you're saying. I get your point. What I was going to say is that Jesus said the greatest commandment: love God, love your neighbor as yourself. So, of course, for us who are Christians and we believe in Christ and we look to His Word, what can we say? It's hard, That's why, in the church, if there is someone who, hey, we understand what the Bible says and they're living contrary, or maybe they're having a hard time, you just have real conversations with them and ask them, hey, examine yourself. Are you in the faith? I mean, those are conversations. But I get your point. What you're saying. Yeah, I can see how it sounds, and it looks like a throwaway to just say, I don't know their heart, where they are. I'm sure you're correct that there are people who sincerely believe that they're Christians and they're going to go to heaven. But from my, reading the Bible, I don't believe that, those people who are hypocrites, because Jesus, He went against the hypocrites in the Word. I don't believe that those people are going to be in heaven with Him. He hated the hypocrites more than you two. It says that they're going to suffer a worse condemnation.
Yeah, but there are people who read the Bible who would say maybe you're not a real Christian and they are. So I feel like the point we're making is that it's just kind of a meaningless statement to talk about that. What we can talk about are
Have you read
real.
it?
Yes.
Okay. No, I'm just asking. I mean, I would encourage your callers to read it as well. I didn't for a long time. No, I was running away from it, and then when I did read it,
I did.
I mean, because I read
and
the Quran and I read other books first. Sorry, go ahead. I'll let you go.
I was just going to say, while talking about hypocrisy, there's a ton of stuff in the Bible that contradicts each other. So that's why, like, when you were like, oh, God hates hypocrite, there's a ton of things that contradict each other in the Bible. So it's kind of like a meaningless thing to me. The thing that bothers me is when people say, Christianity's good because it gives people forgiveness and it gives them structure. I take a look at what the most powerful Christians in the country are doing right now, and they are the most vile, hatred people on planet Earth. And they're doing that in the name of God. So I don't really care what people consider to be real Christians or not. There are so many times where those same Christians say that Christians who care too much about empathy or being like Jesus aren't real Christians, vice versa. It honestly depends on what part of the Bible you're focusing on, because there's so many different things said in the Bible that there's a reason there are tens and thousands of denominations, and that is because the Bible is not clear about its messaging.
How do you feel about, Jesus, the man, the person? I mean, I agree with you. There was people. Hey, people are people. I mean, we sin. We inherited the sin nature. So there's not going to be. We shouldn't lift up people. We shouldn't lift up powerful Christians and follow them. That is, what is it called? What's that word? Cringy. When people start forming cliques around, Christian leaders and things like that, that is awkward because there's only one leader, Jesus. He's the one to look to. Tell my wife, I tell my children, I can never love you as much as He does. I can never love you with the real love and compassion that He has.
Yeah, but aren't Christians going to want other Christians to run the country typically? Isn't that how that all starts? Is by them not
honestly,
wanting a separation of church and state?
That is a view that I've heard from Christians. It's not one that I personally desire, only because I believe that it's not a good position to be in because power corrupts. I believe that, and I think that in this world, even if you're a Christian, that you should focus more on loving people who are in your immediate community. Taking care of family first, and then people who are side by side. Don't try to be somebody that is, changing the world. And I believe that's how we really have the most meaning and impact, is by focusing on the people that are closest to us, right? And then leaning toward the people who are not going to pay us back, neighbors, and then just people that are down and out. Don't just help them.
So
And
what
then don't worry about
about
whether.
what about the violent and like hateful parts of the Bible that involve that same God?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
I said, what about the violent and hateful parts of the Bible that involve God and God's like approval of those things or commandment of those things?
Okay, so the Old Testament, you're talking about some things that maybe you interpreted, like the flood.
The
That could
flood,
not
Sodom
be.
and
I
Gomorrah,
feel like there's only really one way to interpret the flood.
Abraham having to sacrifice his son and then getting stopped in the last moment to just make sure that Abraham was obedient. Fucking
But not
insane.
and like just actual commandments that God gave in the Bible. There are certain things that God commanded in the Bible that can't be interpreted any differently than God approving of violence. I mean, he commanded for Moses and his soldiers to get vengeance on the Midianites. He literally commanded that, the killing of innocent people. I just don't understand how, like, the issue I have with this talk that, like, oh, Christianity's great because it teaches love and to be kind to people. It only does in some parts of the Bible. So when there are Christians who are vile, hateful, and violent, it's not shocking to me because all you have to do is say a different part of like you're reading a different part of the Bible. That's my entire issue with this whole thing is this idea that Christianity is about love and loving your neighbor. No, it isn't. Only a small part of it is. And it's not
When you
even the
say
biggest part.
Christians, when you say Christians are evil and violent, and there's people in the Bible who are evil and violent, and you're saying that God gave instructions to people
No,
who
Alex,
are evil and
nope,
violent.
Alex, that's
Hmm?
not what I said. That's not what I said. I said the parts of the Bible where God specifically demands violence. It's not about people who went off and did violence or whatever. It's God like commanding it. Like when he gave rules in the Old Testament saying you should, like, if your child does this, you have to stone them or whatever. That is literally in the Bible, God commanding violence, is it not?
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, there's a passage in the Bible where it says that if you have an unworthy child, stone them, right?
It's not just one passage,
Um,
it's many, but yes, he's commanded violence many times. So who are we to say that a Christian isn't a Christian if they're violent or hateful? Because, I mean, God obviously does those things and commands those things in the Bible, so why wouldn't he do it again?
I have to look at God in the person of Jesus Christ. That He reveals Himself
Why
that
is that
way.
why is the small part of Jesus in the Bible the only thing that matters when they're the same God?
Because it's the manner that God chose to transform the world. Um,
So,
it's the
is he not the same
epicenter of
God?
human history.
God says he doesn't change. I don't understand.
Yeah, He doesn't change. Jesus is going to come back, and there's going to be wrath, on the earth.
Yeah,
That's why
he's
it's
going to
the
be violent,
responsibility
which
of the
is
church.
he's going to be violent, right? He's going to be harming people. So how is that the religion of forgiveness, grace, and loving your neighbor? It's not.
Like you're saying, there are people who do, terrible things, right? And you're saying there should be no forgiveness for those people, even if they're on their deathbed. Right now,
What
everybody
about
who's
God?
listening
But
has.
what about the things that God does and
What does the clay
says?
have to say to the clay maker? What does the clay have to say to the
Clay isn't
potter?
sentient.
Like,
Clay isn't sentient. Clay isn't sentient being. So it's just like to me that comparison is like just nothing.
we're the clay. We're the clay. God is the potter.
Clay isn't a
We
sentient
can't.
being. We're not like if you're using sentient beings to do whatever the hell you want because you're like I made them, that's evil. That's not a good God to just treat us like we're Sims in a video game.
Right. Alex, would you, if you had the opportunity to make someone into a believer of God, they just had to kill their son, would you ask them to do that? like in real life? Like if you knew that were to
No,
be
of course,
true.
of course not. That's not.
Okay,
That's
so
not.
then you have a better
course
moral
not.
conscience than your God does. How do you feel about that?
What that illustration of God asking Abraham to give up Isaac, what he was testing about Abraham was whether Abraham trusted and loved God more
Why would God need to
than
test someone if he's all
Why would he
knowing?
need to do that? And you just told me in this moment that you wouldn't do
It
that
says
to
later in
another
the
person.
scripture. It says later in the scripture that Abraham believed that God would resurrect his son, that he would bring him back.
So that doesn't
Even if
address
he were to
anything.
You
take
don't
him
think it
away,
would
that he believed that
traumatize you don't think it
take
would
him back.
traumatize a person to have
Oh, of course.
your
Of
kid
course. Yeah,
look up to
I'm
you and
not
you're
saying I
killing them?
agree. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying it's in the scripture that,
You would
hey,
have to agree with it if you think God is
is
good.
his
You think that
son,
God is good and
is your
perfect. You
son
said
an
this in the
idol?
beginning. You said God is perfect and
Does
everything
your,
he does is perfect in the beginning. So you think that this was still
he
a
is
good
perfect.
situation. Okay, so you like this system then. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't do it because it would feel too shitty. But you have a better moral
Well,
compass than your
I wouldn't
God.
have the power and certainty to be able to bring the child back. I wouldn't have that. I don't have that power.
Abraham thought that God was going to bring this child back, but God never said he was going to. He believed that to be true. God never said that. That was the whole point.
Right.
The
Because
whole point was he needed
it's
to test this man for some reason because his ego is absolutely enormous. He needed to test this man so much so that he had to trick himself into thinking he was going to have to murder his own son. I don't even like when I don't give my dogs food because they have to go to the vet later. That kills me. Can you fucking imagine?
how is his
That's a
ego so
crazy thing to do
inflated
to a
when he
person.
came back? How is his ego so inflated? How is he
Because he
so
didn't need to
evil
do that.
when
He didn't need
when
to
he
do
came
that.
into the
Alex,
world to die for our sins and be punished? He
Yeah,
was
but he
crucified.
created
He
that.
was
And who
stripped.
created that system? And who created that system? Who made that up out
We
of their
did.
sick
We
fucking
did.
head? God made it up. God made it up that he was
No,
going
we
to have to
did.
send somebody
No.
down,
We did.
send his. No, we
No.
didn't. Well, I mean, I guess actually,
No. The
yeah, we
purpose.
did because I don't believe that any of it
You.
happened that way. So I guess you're right. Welcome to
No,
being
I
an
understand.
atheist.
I understand that you. I understand that you don't believe it. But God, everywhere that you want to be in life right now, God provided that in the garden. He provided paradise. The place that everybody wants to be, God gave it freely from the beginning. The
yeah, and then he
tree,
set us up
that's
with
just
the
a
tree.
test. It's just a test. Hey, I'm your father. Do you believe
Alex, I
that
have a question.
I
One
know
last
what's best for
question.
you?
Alex, I have one last question.
Hmm.
What is the point of God testing us if he knows everything?
What is the point of God testing us if he knows everything? You're saying, why
Yeah.
did God create us if he knew
No.
we were going to rebel? Go
No,
Yeah,
into
well,
it?
test.
no, let's stick to what I asked. Why would God make these tests, like sacrificing your son or not eating the fruit off the tree, if he knows everything? What's the point of a test if he knows the outcome every single time?
I think the point is to show how much he loves the world, to demonstrate his love. That even though we, stiffed our neck at him, like raised our chin at him, not your way, God, but not your will, God, but my will. Let my will be done. I want my own way. That he's still willing to work with us and put up with us and ultimately bring us into heaven if it's our desire. And he died on the cross so that anybody who believes is willing, they can be redeemed and come back to him. That's why. I mean, not everybody's going to want it, but he's not going to force you into heaven. He didn't force Adam and Eve not to take from the tree. But it's just a demonstration of our love.
But
Do
it's
we
so
believe in him?
I have
And they wouldn't
I
have
have
taken from the tree.
I have one last question, and then we should move on because we have some other callers. Um, are you a dad? I don't remember if we talked about this.
Yeah, I have children.
Okay. So if you saw a car barreling towards your kid, would you risk your life to save your kid and push them out of the way?
Oh, 100%.
Okay. So God knows that there are people who don't believe in them, and it will send them to eternal damnation. And there are people who beg on their hands and knees for a sign from God and don't get it. So you, again, have shown that you have a better moral compass. You care more about your children than God does about most of his alleged children. And I just can't accept that. And I think
Everyone,
that,
everyone listening gets a
you
sign
bend
every
over
day. You
backwards.
get the
You bend
sign.
over backwards for this thing that won't even show itself.
He
It's
shows
silly.
himself every day. Every person who's listening, every person you see it every day. You see the grace of God. You see the hand of God. You just choose not to see it.
I didn't.
It's
Right.
blatant. It's super blatant. It's like a blaring siren every single day. You're just
Right.
choosing to
Clearly
look
not.
into dust.
Clearly not.
Maybe look
Clearly
into
not.
dust a billion trillion miles away. Maybe there's life.
Alex,
Let me
there are
lift up this
people
rock.
there are
Let me
people
look
who
under the
lose
rocks
their
and
faith.
let's dig under the
There are people
sea. Maybe we'll find the
Oh my
answers.
God.
Good
There are
luck.
people I'm muting you. Actually, I'm just dropping him because he's annoying me. Um, there are people who who search and beg to be given a sign who lost their faith. Really? And that's the response he's gonna give? That was getting to be so boring and honestly, like, no.
It's also just like it's the constant cycle of victim blaming. Like, oh, if you don't live somewhere where you ever heard about God, it's actually your fault because you didn't want it enough. If you don't believe in God, it's actually your fault because God gives you signs and you don't want to see them. It's just like there's a reason I think Christianity is the entire thing is about victim blaming because it's the only way it
Yes.
freaking works ever.
Yeah. Literally. Also, what is atheist China? Huh? He was like, my wife is from atheist China. I'm like, does she know that you call it that?
Christianity loves to talk about China. And when I was going through the God's Not Dead movies, it
Mhm.
was interesting because the very first movie they had a exchange student that was from China. And as soon as I heard that, I'm like, I know exactly why they put this in this movie because they
Mhm.
love to talk about China. I don't know what it is, but they're obsessed with this idea that like they're just so they're so in the trenches and like they need saved. I don't know. It's really weird. It's weird as hell.
I actually remember that because I watched that first YouTube video of yours, like the first God is Dead one, because I was like, I don't know what
Yeah.
the fuck this is. And I remember you talking about that the second
Yeah.
you saw that, you were like, right.
Yep, know what this is. Yeah.
So bizarre. Yeah, he was annoying me, and I felt like he was not gonna like let that. We were gonna be trying to hang up on him for 15 more minutes, and I just like
Yeah,
can't.
props.
Okay, we do have another theist. And if you are one of the atheists who are on hold, thank you for being so patient. And I am interested in your calls, so hopefully we get to take them today. But we do prioritize the theists, so we will take that call next. But before we do, please make sure if you haven't already to like this stream to make sure that it continues to get pushed out into the algorithms and other people get to join and see these crazy conversations and join our fun little community. And if you want to be more a part of our community than you already are, make sure that you're subscribed, first of all. Duh. And go to patreon.com/calltheline and become a patron so that you can be a certified bestie. And super chats of $5 or more. We'll read them at the end of the show. I see Billy Sipes is in here being, again, the most generous super chatter of all time. And we appreciate you so much. And, I don't know. I would offer a kiss on the mouth, but I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. But just know that, like, it's there.
It's appreciated.
Yeah. That's the level of appreciation that I am willing to express. Anyway, we have another theist. So I'm gonna pull him in if you're ready, Taylor.
I'm ready.
All right. We're gonna pull in Rainwood. I don't think I've ever talked to Rainwood before. Hello.
Hello. How are you guys?
Huh. Good. How are you?
Not bad. So, if you guys are a little younger than me, if for the people that are in their 40s and 50s, they would see that the world has definitely, unequivocally changed a lot. And I don't mean just technology-wise, there's no moral stop signs or yield signs anymore. Whatever people want to do, they just do. They get married. They want to get a divorce. Get a divorce. They have they get pregnant with a baby. Abort it if they don't want it.
I don't see what's wrong with that.
Woman.
If you want to get married and get divorced, I don't care. Well, who cares?
A lot of that also comes from people gaining rights, by the way. Like divorce and abortion is because people started getting rights.
And don't worry, we're rolling back abortion care all over the country every single day. So don't worry, we're losing that right every day.
It's a slow decaying of morality. A slow decaying of morality.
So, you know what I think is interesting about that is I don't know if you know, because I don't think we've talked before, Rainwood, but I'm a sex educator.
I've watched you guys, but I haven't. I like you guys a lot.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for calling our show. I'm a certified sex educator, so I know a lot about sex and sexuality. And one of the things that I get that people talk about all the time is that, you know, hookup culture is out of control and people are having, you know, sex with whoever they want. And what's interesting is the information that we see is people are having less and less sex as generations move forward. So the younger generations are having less sex than the generations before them, and the generations before them, and the generations before. So that seems to be the pattern. So while I understand the general direction that you're going in all of this, that like morality is decaying, I don't really think that's true. And actually, I was even thinking about, and I think you sort of like briefly alluded to your age, so you actually probably have an even better perspective about this than I do because I'm 32. But I was pulling together a presentation.
I'm
sorry,
20 years older than you.
Okay, so you were here for this, so I'm curious what your thought is. I did a presentation about sex and media, and I remembered the like a prayer music video, which that music video has flaming crosses in the background. Madonna is talking about sex and sexuality in a way that was like unprecedented at that time. And I think if someone came out with that music video today, it would be banned. Like, it would be banned, it would be ripped off of the TV and the internet, like it would not exist anymore. So I don't know, I think there are a lot of examples.
You think it would be banned today?
I think because we have a very conservative administration right now that censors a lot of our media. So I think, I think if that were to show up on the internet, it would be banned. It would be removed. I mean, I make content about sexuality from an educator's perspective, and I get content removed from the internet all the time. All the time.
Really?
And it's the content I make is not like arousing or sexual in any way. It's meant to like give people information and educate them, and it gets removed constantly. So I don't know. I think that you could make some argument that things have gotten worse, but you can make a lot of arguments that, you know, we still have quite a conservative outlook and control a handle on our socially what goes on.
Yeah, I just think that when I was growing up, and again, there's a 20-year age gap, there was, you know, if I said, for instance, like, there's a scripture in the Bible where it says, the smallest muscle in the body is the tongue, but the hardest and the most to put out to start fires. You know, no one knows how to tame their tongue anymore. You know, there's little things like that. You know, people think that cursing isn't bad, and maybe it's not, but it gave people discipline. You know what I mean? If I said a foul word at the dinner table, my father had my ass, you know, smacked around. You know, there's no discipline anymore. That's what I was saying, is that even if you don't believe in God, there was a structure. You know what I mean? There was some kind of shame is not bad all the time. If there's no embarrassment anymore, just be what you want to be. I mean, I see it, but maybe you guys don't see it. It's a gradual deadening it's a gradual deadening of one's morality. That's what I see. That's what I see. But again, you could ask your grandparents, and maybe they would say something different. I don't know. That's how I'm viewing it.
My issue though is like I've been around people who they have a problem with cursing, but then they're super racist, or they are sexist, or they would vote against women's rights, or they would be extremely homophobic. So like I guess I understand when people want certain things, like maybe they don't like cursing or whatever. That's whatever to me. The issue is what they prioritize. So like before, so I talked to my nanny a lot, my grandmother a lot about, you know, back in her day. And
Right.
so she, that was all the norm. But at the same time, they didn't even think that she should be able to own a credit card. They didn't think she should be able to own a home. And to me, that is way more important than stuff like cursing at the dinner table or what you wear or
Right.
what you like. So that's what bothers me is it seems to me like 20,
I'm
30,
curious
40,
to
50
ask
years
you.
ago, they were focused on
I'm
the wrong
curious to
things,
ask
in my opinion.
I'm curious to ask you, what does your grandma think of the world that she grew up in as opposed to this? I mean, does
Well,
she
she hates
does
it.
she
She
give you
hates it
any
right now
insights
because she hates. Yeah, she hates it right now because she hates Donald Trump. But my grandmother is super progressive, so she
Yeah.
definitely thinks it's
My
better now, specifically. But
I also
Can I ask
think,
you guys
I mean, we
can I
have
ask you
a
guys
lot
a
of
personal
well,
question? Can I ask you guys a personal question?
sure.
sure.
So I know you guys were Christians, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Do you see a difference in yourself
Yes.
in
Yes.
any way that more freedom or more restricted?
I mean, more restricted because of everything that's going on in our government.
But I
I
think
think we were
You feel
probably
more
better 5 years ago, maybe.
yeah,
I
but
don't know.
personally though, I feel the minute that I stopped believing in God and like really released
Yeah.
myself from that, it felt like I took a deep breath for the first time in my life, and I'm not kidding. Like it was so crazy. I had so much fear in my body and in my mind all the time. And when I stopped caring about the approval of a God, if I was going to hell, if there was a demon around the corner, like the minute that I released myself from that, I felt lighter and I felt like
Agreed.
I think it's also interesting because a lot of people start to believe in God and that ends up changing their behavior, but we know the right and wrong things to do for the most part. Like we know not to be hurting other people and don't sleep with your neighbor's wife. I always bring up that 10th commandment because I think it's so weird. But we know how to treat other human beings, regardless of if you're a believer or not.
But do you think
And
some of
I
that was influenced by your upbringing, by your Christian upbringing? Do you think that it was like a little bit influenced and gave you a direction, and then you went on your own and maybe added and subtracted some of the other? In other words, I believe that people need to be put on a leash, almost like a dog, because if you give them too much freedom, they just do whatever they want. It's like taking a
yeah, but
cop
I
off the
think you
street;
can
they'll just do what they want.
But there are some parts of it that are, parenting, like you need to parent your
Right.
children. And I think that, like, I don't want to comment too much on parenting because I'm not a parent, but I know that, like, I think we've gone a little too far with like the gentle parenting of it all. Like my mom works in a school with very little kids and these kids have no rules. And so like I think that there is some balance to be had for some people in how we're treating our kids and we're trying to find what that balance looks like. But the other part of it is there are some level of natural consequences and some level of legal consequences. Like if you decide to be a jerk to all your friends, they're not going to want to be your friend anymore. And when you are finally alone and you have no one to depend on, you're going to be like, maybe I should have made better choices. Obviously, if you kill someone, you will probably get caught and you will probably go to jail. So, like there are consequences. There those like leashes, so to speak, do exist. And I also just think sometimes when people talk about this, I think, do you believe a Christian person would think it's okay to murder without the Bible telling them that that's not okay? Like, no, they know that.
Right. Well, that's been ingrained in them. I think partially because Christianity and religion as a whole, belief in God, sort of, without them realizing it, sort of molded it into their conscience. And again, the scriptures say that, the word of God is written on our hearts. So we instinctively don't want to see things suffer. Instinctively. Where does that come from? You know what I mean?
What would you say about then? What would you say about the opposite of people who are pretty hateful and they say they believe that's Christianity guiding them to be that way because they think it's the right, quote unquote, right way to be or right way to live or whatever? Couldn't we say the same thing about negative things?
Yeah. Now the thing is like, let me give you an analogy. So if I gave you a workout program and you said, I'm really into this, I'm going to follow it, A to Z, and you follow it A to Z and you get your results. It's just like the previous phone call that you were having with the gentleman. He was very articulate. I enjoyed the conversation. But I think the point of the matter is what he was trying to go for was that if you don't follow it, it's not going to do you no good. It's like there's a scripture in the Bible where it says if you want to know a person really well, look at his friends. And that's wisdom. If you look at a person's friends, you get to know the person, right? If you varnish your tongue, you begin to get disciplined. There's something about being in the military, for instance. They put you on a regiment. Human beings that are not put on a regiment tend to go off the rails.
So why do you think that I need to believe in your God to be kept on the rails? Why can't I just join the military and stay an atheist?
You could join the military. It would help. It would help rather than just leaving people to just do whatever they want. I mean,
but I don't think that's the case. I don't think. It's okay. That's what it is. You're transphobic. Okay, I was wondering what it was.
I'm sorry.
Continue.
I was talking over you. The whole transgender thing, it actually nauseates me. I'm sorry if you want to call me a bigot or whatever you want to call me. It nauseates me. I mean, when I was growing up,
that's something that's not hurting you or other people.
There were people that were gay or they were straight. They didn't have. They cross-dressed, whatever they did, but they didn't.
Why do you care? Why do you care? It doesn't affect you personally, literally at all. At all. I think what happens here is when people don't understand and they are confused about a new thing that they don't understand, it feels like fear. But this is just because you don't understand doesn't mean that you can't treat these people with respect.
Oh, I agree. Treat them with respect, but it's becoming like if you look at the Asian culture, there's actually transsexual that the men actually like half a woman, half a man. It's like it's becoming depravity.
Who cares? It's not depravity. Again, who cares? Who cares? People can present however they want. That doesn't affect you. Again, it doesn't affect you. It's just a world that looks different than what you grew up in, but that doesn't affect you. People can have whatever, and also you have to also understand what a weird experience it is that the people who are transphobic, why do you give a fuck what people have in their pants? Why are you thinking about if the person in front of you have you thought about if I have a penis or not? Why are you thinking about anyone else's genitals except for your own? I think that's weird.
Okay.
I think that is far more inappropriate than a person who is minding their business and wants to, present the way that makes them feel most comfortable. Who cares? Who cares?
Good point. It's a very good point. But I had a person not too long ago say I didn't use the proper pronouns. I apologized, and I said, I said, sir, and she said, the person said it's she. I said, okay, I apologize. But when it starts to affect the human race as a whole, you start to see this, the walls are crumbling in around you.
But what walls are crumbling? What are you talking about?
Think about what you just said. So
your
biggest,
see it because you're not in your 40s and 50s. But
you understand. You just sound like an old fart who doesn't like that the world is changing around you. That's what you sound like.
It's not changing. It's crumbling.
It's not crumbling. It's not crumbling.
Rainwood, think about the fact that your biggest issue is someone corrected you on their pronouns, and their biggest issues is that they get targeted and hate crimed and the shit beat out of them or whatever. Yeah. Don't you think that there's a little bit of a difference there? Don't you think that they get attacked on the daily, and your only issue is that they said you didn't use the correct pronoun?
Well, there's the other thing with the bathroom situation. It's not so much that, like I hear on the line once in a while when I tune in, they say there's not going to be a sexual assault. It's not about sexual assault. If I'm a man, and if you're
what's
a woman,
it about then?
You want your privacy in the woman's bathroom to put your makeup on.
Yeah, but you want
to be it.
I don't give a shit who's in there. If I'm putting my makeup on and you're being appropriate.
Wait. So you want a trans man to go into the woman's bathroom, and so what if they have a beard? I'm confused. What you're saying isn't making sense. You're saying that you don't want men with beards to be in women's restrooms, but if a trans man goes into a woman's bathroom, they're gonna have what if they have a beard? Then what? You're not going to like that either.
Your grandmother would say, I can't even believe we're having this conversation.
She wouldn't. I promise you she wouldn't. I promise you she wouldn't.
My grandmother is progressive. She would say they should use whatever bathroom they
Same with mine. Same with mine. Both of my grandmothers. One of them is 94, and all I hear from her all the time is, why are we always talking about this? Who cares? Let people go where they want to go. Who cares? And again, it's why do you care? Right? What is the point? You're worried so much about everyone else's genitals. Stop thinking about other people's genitals.
I don't care. I'm just bringing out the point that the average person that's in their 40s and 50s are starting to see the walls crumbling down.
But that's this. You keep saying this. What do you mean?
With the gentleman, what I mean is that the Bible says there'll be rumors of wars in one place after another. And I hear on your channel, well, there's always been wars. That's true.
There has always been wars.
There'll be always, there's always been earthquakes, but it's never been accepted. All this.
Our war was started by this current war was started by a very Christian administration, an incredibly transphobic, homophobic, racist Christian administration. They started this war. So
it doesn't matter who started it. I'm just bringing out the point that everything is becoming acceptable. Where
not everything is becoming acceptable. That's but are you implying that we need to shame trans people? Because that's what it sounds like. They
used to shame them. They used to be to themselves, and if they wanted to be gay, they were gay. It's unnatural.
It's
an
not
unnatural thing.
unnatural. It's not unnatural. There have been
Wait.
trans
Oh
people
my God.
for a very, very
Wait,
long
Rainwood,
time.
you realize people say the same thing about gay people, right? That's what they said about gay people, that it was so unnatural and they just need to keep it to themselves.
It is unnatural, but if they want to do it in their bedroom, and that's it. They don't have to have
Okay, so if a
gay
trans person
gay
is
pride.
But
walking
it
around,
is natural
if
though.
a-
We have gay animals in nature all the time,
yes,
so that's
we
just a
have
lie.
exactly, and
Yeah,
if
have a
they're
dog that's
doing
transgender.
it in their
I'm just kidding.
bedroom, fine, but you don't see anyone fucking on the street, so that's just the same as everyone else. And trans people are not exposing their genitals out on the street. So they are trying. All they want in this world is for you to stop thinking about their genitals. That's all they want, is for you to leave them
Believe
alone.
me, I'm not.
That's literally all
Believe
they
me, I'm
want.
not thinking about the generals.
But you
That's
are, because we're
supposed to
having this
mind.
conversation.
I'm just bringing out a point. When you
But
talk,
you
when
are,
you
because
add it all together. This is
no,
my point in a nutshell. And then we can agree to disagree, I guess. It's not one thing. It's not cursing. It's not abortion. It's not transgender. It's not homosexuality. It's not wars. It's not earthquakes. It's all these things are happening simultaneously, and
but you
it's
think
being accepted. You could say and do whatever you want. There's no repercussions. There's no shame.
that's not
There's
true.
no embarrassment.
Rainwood,
That's
Oh,
not
until you're
true.
really a woman
you
or
know,
a man.
It's
Rainwood,
just not true.
we paint this picture that things have gotten so bad. At one point, they
They
wanted
have.
everyone to accept Rainwood. We used to literally have slaves. Like, I don't know what we're
Yes.
even talking about. Like, these conversations are coming from people who believe in in having separate schools for white kids versus black kids. I don't
Yeah,
care
this is
when
the
they get
same thing they
upset.
said.
I don't care when they get upset that transgender people exist. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, you're acting as if things are changing for the worse when we used to have laws, like, not even used to. We do have laws restricting people's rights, and I'm supposed to pretend like it was better back then when what, people had less rights? I'm supposed to yearn for that time period?
No, that was definitely an abomination. That to enslave black people and bring them
So
here.
what time period?
And
What time
everything
period
went
should we
over
be
the
getting
people.
back to?
But I'm talking
What
about
time
all
period
these
should we
things
be
that are
getting back
happening
to?
simultaneously. I'm sorry.
No, what time period should we be getting back to specifically? How many years ago?
Well, there's no turning back the clocks now. The horses are out of the barn, so to speak, and they're running free.
But when you talk
the
about
only
how
thing
thank
things
God.
are, when you
I
talk
don't-
about
I
how
don't
things
see
are
this
like
planet.
crumbling
I'm going to be
now,
honest.
what
What's
is that? When you talk about how things are crumbling now, what it feels like, I'll tell you what it feels like to me. I'm not saying that this is true. This is the experience I'm having in this conversation, okay? What it feels like to me is you are an older white man who, prior to this period of time, everything felt very comfortable to you because it was the world that you recognized. And as time goes, things progress. And so we have been able to share media and, information with each other and really get to experience the world in a way that you couldn't when you were a child. So while I think it feels like things have changed really rapidly and all of these things are new, they are not new. There were trans people in the 30s, there were trans people in the 40s, but we were not getting information the way that we do now. You were not aware. But these people are not making you less safe. They are not the reason why there are earthquakes and wars and whatever. That is not the reason. What it feels like is things are different than the way that they were when you were young and you're having a hard time adapting. But rules still exist. People still go to jail. People still suffer consequences. So I don't really know what the problem is. You are just behind because it doesn't feel the same.
Maybe so. Maybe so. I just see that we're going down a slippery slope right now. It just seems, in my eyes, and anyone that's out there in their 40s or 50s, they probably understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you guys don't, but it's a gradual.
I'm 30.
deadening.
I'm 32.
Yeah. And I remember when my father was talking when I was a little kid, and he said, Michael, he says, look at it taking Elvis off the stage. I said, well, for what? He was moving his hips too much. Now they take their clothes off, they curse, they swear, they do whatever they want. There's no boundaries. There was no abortions like there were like they are now. If you
don't know
got
that.
a woman pregnant, you married her.
Yeah, but
Back
you
then.
don't.
And guess what? People ended up in marriages where they were miserable.
Right.
And they also couldn't leave because they didn't have the right to get a divorce. And then they also didn't have laws about things concerning like marital rape or beating your wife. They got away with that too. So I'm just not convinced that was a better time period just because you had to be trapped into a loveless marriage because you accidentally got pregnant.
Well, the family structure was more together. That's all I could say.
I think
the family structure.
one more thing I want to say.
African Americans the most, I think, because when they broke the family unit up.
One more thing I want to say is my grandmother got married when she was 18 to like a 35-year-old. And the reason for that is she felt like there weren't many options of her to get out of her family's house, which was not good to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then there wasn't a lot of ways for her to get out of an abusive marriage. So I actually have talked to people who say, yeah, it was really, especially like women say it was really bad. I had no other options. And I am so glad that now women can get abortions and divorces, or else who knows, maybe my life would have looked the exact same. And she talks about how horrible it was every single time I see her. So no, I think this illusion that it was just such a good time period and like there were all these happy families because women had less rights and you had less options, I think that's a lie.
Yeah, I don't think I agree with you. Not necessarily happier, but more structured is more what I would say. A little bit more structured. I have to go to work because I work in a recording studio, so I'm going to have to.
Wait, before you go, I'm just curious where in New York you're from because I'm from New York and I'm curious. Are you from Long Island?
I'm in Long Island on the Great South Bay, Copiague Harbor.
Oh, I guessed it. I'm proud of myself. Well, that's really funny that I guessed it. Anyway, okay. Well, thank you so much for calling, Rainwood.
Yeah, I'm sorry I have to cut this conversation short, but I enjoyed you guys, and maybe I'm an old fuddy-duddy. I don't know.
Call back again sometime, and I'd love to talk to you more. Thanks, you too.
You too. Bye.
Okay, I immediately clocked that he's from Long Island because Long Island is so fucking racist and so they literally
really?
are. Yes, Long
Wait,
Island.
why?
I don't know. Kevin is from Long Island, and that's the reason why he won't fucking go back there because they're literally like 30 years behind everything. So he's gonna crack up. He's gonna crack up when I tell him that
It's so funny because sometimes if someone has a really thick accent from New York, I almost can't tell the difference between that and a Boston accent. I don't know why. Because
yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
It's like so I don't know. I guess it's not so similar, but I don't know why it confuses me. That's funny though.
I can't wait to tell him about that. That's so funny.
That's so random. Like, why do you think that is specifically in Long Island? Like when it's such a
So some of it is literally built into the infrastructure. Like the guy who created the highways that go and bridges and or tunnels, whatever, that go into Long Island or onto Long Island. They're very specific. You're on Long Island. You are not in Long Island. I get corrected constantly.
You are what?
On
Long Island?
On Long Island.
Long Island. Okay.
Not in. So the highways that you take to get on Long Island are they have overpasses that are purposefully low because if they were higher, public buses could reach the full length of Long Island. And the people who are taking public transit are people who are like not able to afford to have a car. So they kept all of these groups of people, like low income people, from making it out to parts of Long Island. And you also have to consider that Long Island is where like the Hamptons is. That's where all of these like really beautiful beaches in New York are. And they purposely did this. They also the town where Kevin lived for a period of time in their like town, I don't know, rules or whatever, they would not sell houses to Black people. And even now, the town pays a fine every single year because every single year they are fined for not selling houses to Black folks. Isn't that crazy? This is today, 2026.
It's crazy, but like it's also not shocking because one of my majors in college was sociology, and the way how much I learned about how they do that in cities and communities, you just like never look at any of it the same. You're driving through certain neighborhoods or like certain cities, and you're just seeing it all. And I feel like if you don't ever learn about any of that stuff, you don't think twice about it.
Yeah.
But once you do, you just see it literally everywhere. And then for people who don't want to believe that stuff at all, you try to explain it to them and they look at you like you're crazy. Like it's some giant conspiracy theory. I'm like, it's so frustrating.
It's
it's
so crazy. It's so crazy. Yeah, it's part of
that's
redlining.
interesting. I didn't know that about Long Island specifically, so that's interesting.
Yeah, if you ever find I mean, if you want to like really see the cesspool of Long Island, you can go on Instagram and look up any account that is like for people from Long Island and look in the comment sections. It is the most racist shit I have ever seen in my life.
That's wild. That is so wild. That's gross.
Yeah. And it's crazy because you're so close to New York City.
Yeah, I think that's what's a little surprising for some reason. Like, not that stuff doesn't happen there, but I don't know. I don't know what I thought.
Yeah, it's wild. But anyway, I cannot believe I said, "Are you from Long Island?" And he said, "Yeah." Wow. Shocking to find. All right. Well, we have two callers. And both of them are atheists, but one of actually both of them are about religion, so they'll both be interesting. Well, not that our atheist callers are never not interesting, but we're having a very religious day today.
Yeah, we are.
So both of these are still connected to religion. Do you have a preference of which of the two you'd like to take first?
No. I think both are pretty interesting. So
okay. Let's pull in Matthew because I can't wait to hear this. This study that he wants to talk about. Hi, Matthew.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
How are you?
So, doing good. So I'm a deconstructing theist. I don't believe in God anymore. Actually, I called into the show when I still did, but not convinced anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the title of your show was "Does God Do Anything for People?" And obviously, I don't think it does anymore because I don't think God exists. But I do think belief in God does some things for at least some people, or just religiosity. There are some studies on this. Like I looked at one that found that there was a longitudinal study and it found a reduction in mortality, and then of course longer lifespan was associated with regular attendance at religious service. And I'm just interested for like what you guys think might explain that. I mean, I know there can be a lot of reasons, but how much of this do you think is just like spurious correlation? Is it just do you think people are actually getting something out of this, or do you think secular systems like aren't maybe offering people the support they need, or maybe some of all of that?
I got distracted for a little bit. Can you say exactly what the study thing said? That can you just repeat that part
several,
again?
just to give one really particular one, I'm looking at one which was Vanderweel in 2017, which found a reduction in mortality associated with regular attendance at religious services.
Okay.
And I've seen other, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
I was going to say, I was using this as an example, but I've seen other studies. Like I remember after COVID, there was a study showing that at least in some circumstances, religious people had better demographic statistics on their recovery. And then there's, I've seen other data showing that there's lower rates of like some forms of mental illness and other diseases amongst religious people. So I feel like there's something going on here, and probably more than one thing.
Yeah, I agree that it's more than one thing. And I think the biggest thing is community. I think that really helps people when they're going through a hard time or sick. I mean, we know that, like, we know from studies that when people are lonely, they don't live as long and stuff like that. And so I think that has a lot to do with it. I know I witnessed it firsthand whenever my dad had cancer. People he had went to church with literally years ago all rallied around him, were like basically taking care of him. And so it makes sense to me why people would have a like higher recovery rate or whatever, because of community. And that's one of the things I think is lacking a little more in the secular space, is community. A lot of people find it online, which is great, but it's hard to replace that in-person community, because I mean, people, especially like in churches, like you get sick or you have a baby or whatever, people are bringing you meals, people are rallying around you, people are asking how you are, people are giving you all sorts of community. So I feel like that probably has to be the biggest thing, but I'm sure there are a couple of different things. Maybe it's the idea of like hope or peace or something. I don't know. But I'm not saying you can't have that stuff outside of that, but I would feel like community is probably the biggest contributor.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I've really noticed two things in leaving religion myself. The first one was what you mentioned around community. Unfortunately, that was kind of a positive thing for me. I'm really privileged to have family and community around me that was totally welcoming and wasn't going to push me out or anything. And so I didn't have to worry about that so much. I know other people who have. But I would say in terms of like theism itself, there's like 95 things that I really don't miss about it. And then five or so things that I really found comforting as a theist. Like I still have a ton of theist thoughts. I would say probably several times a day, I find myself thinking something along the lines of, am I being scrupulous in my duty to God, or have I had thoughts that are impure today? And in many ways, that was kind of a traumatic part of religion. But in some ways, it was sort of comforting. Like, it's sort of nice to think that you have this plan that's all laid out for you, and that everything big and small is all towards that. And there really is some really clear answer. And I mean, I don't want that back, but I'm just kind of, I guess, trying to build that up now as someone who's outside of religion, and it's not always easy.
Right. No, it's definitely not. And I've had a pretty similar experience to you, where I'm pretty honest about, you know, when leaving Christianity and stuff. There were definitely things that were a positive. I'm not going to say, like, kind of like what you said, I'm not going to say it outweighs the negative, but I mean, for one example, it really connected me with my family. We had this like really strong bond because we belonged to the same belief system. So there are things like that where I'm also like, you know, in my past, I do have some memories, good memories attached to religion and the belief in God or whatever. It can really bring people together when someone dies or something like very traumatic happens. And I do think it's important for me, I think it's important to acknowledge that stuff to heal and move on, because I think it's part of healing the fundamentalist mindset where this is all bad or this is all good. And type of thinking where I can accept there were some good things that came out of it, and while simultaneously accepting there were a lot of negative or harmful things. So yeah, I feel you.
Yeah, like one of the things that's changed a lot for me since leaving religion is I've just discovered a lot more about just my own gender since living. I always had a really clear image of who I was supposed to be, what I'm supposed to do, what I'm going to continue to do, what are like the things I'm supposed to be doing as a man, and what I'm supposed to not do. And I have realized since then that masculinity isn't really a box that fits me that well. And again, I'd say that like 95% of that has been a positive exploration for me, and like the remaining 5% kind of misses that really clear plan.
Right. Yeah, because sometimes things can feel more simple when you're part of like what the last person was talking about. I think a lot of people feel more comfortable in structures, like everything's guaranteed, everything's black and white type of thinking. And for me, when I left Christianity, I realized I had so much freedom and the ability to kind of decide what was important to me or who I was or whatever. And yeah, it can be really good, but it can also be scary where you're like, wait, I have like way too much say now and I don't know what to do with it because you're not used to it. So yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from.
Like I was listening to, I think you were the one who said this on the earlier call. You were talking about how, people who are Christians, it's not like if they have that taken away from them that they're going to think that murder is okay. And I can definitely report that. I love Christianity. I don't now think that murder is okay. But I also feel like I'm kind of not standing on anything. Like if someone asked me to justify that, I don't know what I'd say. It's just wrong, right? And
yeah,
that's kind of disconcerting. It's like something to think about late at night.
Right. Yeah.
And religion has like a really easy answer to that. An easy answer isn't necessarily a good answer, but like it's a really easy answer.
Right. No, exactly.
Well, I think, like to your point of it bringing you comfort and how it's sort of like, now how do you navigate things without that? It's like, people don't stay in religion for as long as they do without some parts of it that are comforting. I think, I don't know. It seems like my leaving religion was a lot less like my family was not that religious when I left, so it was not as dramatic of like a deconstruction period. And I still had a period of time, like I was saying with the previous caller, where I felt so much better when I finally kind of like left my religion at the door and my belief at the door. I felt fear leave my body, which is so bizarre. Because it feels like they tell you that it's the opposite. Like if you have fear, this solves all the problems. And I think it does a little bit of both. Like for some things, like I think as people get older, like I saw this with my own parents, they turned 50 and then all of a sudden they got very religious. And I was like, I feel like there's some end of life fears that are coming up for you. And I think that's why a lot of people get religious as they get older, because like they're kind of staring down the barrel of the gun in some ways. That's kind of gruesome. Sorry. But but when you're worried about what's true and what's not true, you end up in a completely different place.
Yeah. I think that one thing we don't do, like probably everyone in the United States doesn't really do as much as we should, is just congregation, right? Just get together. Doesn't have to be for religion, but I kind of realized when I left that I had work, home, church, and those were the three places that I went. And then when you take that third thing away, I only have like home and work, and that doesn't really cut it.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people do literally call that like the third space or third home, whatever you want to call it. And I think it probably is even worse now because of how our society has progressed. We've become very individualistic and very, I don't know, people just don't interact a lot in person as much as they used to. So I think that also makes it double hard. I definitely feel that. I think it was a little easier for me because I abandoned organized religion way before I stopped believing. So I didn't have that for many years before that. And so it makes sense to me why, for a lot of people, if they leave church when they leave the belief, it's so jarring of like, okay, how do I replace this support system? It's really hard because I think a lot of people don't even have that support system. So if you had it and then you lose it, you're like, damn, it's actually really nice to have a bigger support system. So yeah.
I feel like my belief in a way kind of didn't change. I kind of realized that for a long time I knew intellectually that I didn't have a reason for believing in God. It was just a thing I suspected was true. And in many ways, I still have that suspicion. I just now recognize that it's not based off of anything justifiable. And I'm not even sure that's a change in belief. It's kind of just more of a, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just I guess, recognizing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah.
Anyway, that's kind of all I was going to ask you guys. So,
well, I hope that
I do really appreciate the work you do on here. I called in.
Oh, thanks.
I actually called in a couple times when I was a theist and had a decent debate with you folks. I don't know if it was either of you specifically, but you guys, the work you do really matters. It wasn't like the reason why I left, but it did help.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Matthew.
I'm so glad. And you can find a lot of community in atheist spaces too. And, you know, you'll find it. And I think actually it's kind of nice because now you're in a place where you'll find community in such an intentional way, which is different than when you're participating in a community out of a shared faith. Like it's going to be so, I don't know, a little harder, but really fulfilling. And I'm excited for this next journey for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Actually, I do actually live in an area that has a ton of secular community. So that was one of the ways in which I was very lucky in that regard. And it was still really hard. I think all the time about how much more difficult this journey could have been for me if I didn't have that support. And to the people who make that work without that, I'm impressed.
Right. Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Matthew. We really appreciate your call.
Right.
Call back anytime.
Yeah, thank you as well. Thanks for taking my call.
Bye, Matthew.
Bye. It sounds like Matthew's on like a nice little walk.
I know. It did.
Well, we have one more caller before the end of our show for the evening. So if you want to get in your super chats, be sure to do that so we can read them shortly. Wow, this is like some of the best timing we've had on a show in a really long time.
It's been going very smooth.
I know. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, that's really weird. Please subscribe. Go to patreon.com/line if you want to. And that's all of my announcements. And we can take our final call.
Schedule for this week?
Oh my God. I knew I was forgetting something. I kept doing the same announcements because I was like, something is not happening. And it's the shows for this week. Oh, wait. Do I have them?
Oh, I just thought they're on the website. I can get a screenshot if you want.
I haven't done it, guys. Jimmy built us a really cool website now. And now we have like a staff portal. And it's very cool. Yeah,
it's official.
It's very official. Hold on, I actually need to bookmark our link.
I know, me too. I was literally like, I think I have to go back to my text messages.
Yeah, I literally have to go through Discord because I just have been clicking the link and I've been doing it on my phone. So it'll come up on my phone, but it's not coming up on here. So hold on. Hold the phone.
I tried to access it on my phone and I could access it, but wow, is it not formatted for that purpose?
Yeah, I was
not designed for that.
I was literally about to say, I was trying to get on it the other day on my phone and I gave up and got on my laptop because I'm like, what is this? It was weird.
Why don't I see the link? Am I dumb?
Group chat?
Yeah, maybe in the group chat. That's
I sent
definitely
it
what
to
it
you.
is. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. View schedule. Wow, guys, this is so crazy.
Also, if you look at show tools and then you
Mhm.
click show outlines and then today's show, it'll show you the following week of shows.
Wait, show tools. What? Wow. That's crazy. Okay. This is so cool. Okay. So reading this from our very exciting new little portal, we have, oh, but they don't have the hosts on here. That's the thing. And we got to know who's hosting what. That's important.
Oh, it's showing me the host. That's weird.
Yeah, I don't see them.
Oh.
Weird. Okay. Well, that's okay. I can still view the whole schedule. Actually, I don't see the hosts on my schedule at all. Even on the calendar one.
Scroll down.
Oh, okay, wait. That's a lie. I see them actually. I see them for Okay, never mind. That's a lie. They're here. Okay. So, we are in April. Today is the 28th. Okay, great. So tomorrow, the hang up 6 p.m. with Matt and Justin, Destruction Zone. To the day after that, Thursday, we have TACIS at 2 p.m. with Ben and a mystery person. Exciting. Thursday, calling it now at 5 p.m. with Lux and Jimmy. And then on Sunday, calling it now at 4 p.m. with Jimmy and Jovan. And sorry, I'm like reading two different schedules. Guys, this is not going so well, I fear.
But it's because the show was too good up until this point, and so
I know I had to fuck up
crash a little.
somewhere. It's because we're right at the end of April, so I need to now switch to the May view, and I didn't realize that. I just kind of was like reading.
Oh, we don't have
and
the schedule for
continuing.
May yet. That will be done
Okay.
tomorrow.
Okay, so you know what? Listen, who needs the schedule? You guys are here. You know,
You guys know.
great shows every day. So just come back, please, because that's all I got. I don't know. Anyway, okay, we're gonna take our last call, and then we'll wrap up for the evening. All right, I'm gonna pull in Vince, who's calling from Tennessee. Hello, Vince.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. How are
Good.
you?
I am doing wonderful. Enjoying the show as always. I have my cats, and that is all I need.
Amazing.
Beautiful. I love to hear it. What did you want to talk about today?
Wonderful question. Hopefully I give you a good answer. So, there's a kind of a lot to this, so feel free to tell me to speed it up if needed. So, the general topic is, I've been in a relationship with this person for a while, and she's a Christian, and initially it wasn't like an issue. It was one of those kind of benign, like non-Republican voting Christians, so like I didn't feel bad. But things have been fine, right? But I've noticed some things that I have viewed as like problematic, because she's like, not, I don't know the right way to say this, so I'm just going to say it. So she's a lower income Black woman in Memphis. And so with that context, I noticed that a lot of things that I feel like that she does for her faith are, well, there's harming her, but then also I feel like harming her in the context of her background. For example, she mentioned like she's low income and has a lot of expenses, and she prioritizes, number one is to pay her 10% tithe before anything else. And so that's her thing. She's making a sacrifice for her faith. Some would call that respectable, cool. Until I then investigate that that's primarily a thing they do in Black communities, and white churches don't do that shit as much. And then I get kind of irritated. But at this point, it hasn't affected me. It's like, okay, I'll let her do her thing, even though I feel like it's actively holding her back. And I guess the reason why I am now inquiring is because it's kind of breached into territory where it does affect me. Specifically, she's felt a lot of guilt over sex before marriage. And now it's kind of reached a point where it's like, okay, we're just going to not have sex until we get married because I feel guilty. And, and this is, I guess, coming with the whole purity culture thing where I've seen, and I understand, for a long time, I've been of the belief that this guilt that Christianity specifically tends to put on people with sex before marriage, to put it concisely, kind of fucks them up. And it's not just because I'm trying to find a workaround here. It has nothing to do with me at all. But at this point, I don't know if I should be. I've kind of spoken my concern a little bit, but I guess I'm not really sure how to approach this.
So when you guys started dating, you were having sex and now it stopped?
Yeah.
Okay. And are you planning on getting married anytime soon? Is that like on the horizon, or like you have time to decide this?
It might have, in my mind, it's been one of those like, yeah, probably eventually things, because it's been about 2 years. But I feel like there's a lot of steps that need to come before, because it's also, it's been long distance. So it's one of those things where I'd like to, live at least in the same town or live with her first. And I'm not like 100% on kind of skipping those steps just to kind of make this kind of guilt feeling go away.
Yeah. I agree with that. And I actually think, the experience of living together would probably tell you a lot about what the future would look like. But I think, the sex stuff is tough because sometimes people will have conversations with me and say things like, I feel bad that I'm prioritizing the sex because there's so much else about this person that I really love and care about, and makes me feel like a bad person that I care so much. But like, sex is the thing that separates us from a person just being our best friend. Like, that's mainly what it is. And so it's okay that is something that you want to talk about and like prioritize and what the landscape of your relationship looks like. And especially because you started the relationship being able to have sex with each other, and like that was an expression of intimacy that you did get to have. So I think there's a conversation that is going to become available for you two, if you want to have it, about, what changed between then and now. And I also wonder, like, are there going to be other ways that the religious stuff is going to sort of like rear its head? I don't know if you guys ever talked about what you would do in terms of kids. Like, if you want to have kids, I'll actually speak from my personal experience. One of the last people I dated before finding my fiance, we broke up because he wanted to have kids and he wanted to raise them religious. And I was not going to do that. So that was a big conversation that we had to have. Like, if that's a priority to you, I can't do that. So conversations like that, I think there's like a big one where you have to just air some stuff out and see what happens.
Yeah. And I guess that actually is an important point, because what's made this not an issue up to now is because we did have the kids conversation first, because that was always the breaking point. I would not raise them religious and she would, but we conveniently were both in the space of neither of us want to have kids. So right at the onset, we had that talk. And so we both kind of were convinced, like, oh, well, then we're not going to have any problems, because that's like honestly the only thing that would be an issue, which is not going to happen. Or at least, or so we would think. But yeah, so I guess it's just mainly like, regardless of whether she is my girlfriend or whatever, because we've known each other since we were like in high school. For context, we're about 30. And so even if I were to not be in a relationship with her and still, be good friends or whatever, I think coming back to like the initial point of like just observing these things that I see, not as just little cute Christian things, but things that I see as actively harming her, at least in my eyes. Maybe she's fine, whatever. Maybe I'm being like fucking hero complex. But I don't know. I guess when it comes to that, like where my place is, or if I should just let it go and, it's not my thing, not my problem, so I should just leave it alone.
Yeah. I feel like that is hard because I have been in situations where my husband now, we had been in a relationship where I was a Christian and he has always been atheist. And I know that I felt super sensitive to him saying anything about it. And I think every Christian is different, but it's hard because I think in my mind, someone brought up a good point in chat that I want to say first is that their church also might be actively saying that she shouldn't be in a relationship with someone who isn't Christian, because I know a lot of Christians, I got preached that all the time, that I should never be in a relationship with someone who wasn't Christian. I didn't listen to that, but it was kind of it the longer that me and my husband had been dating and I was a Christian, he wasn't, the more it started to come up, because for me, Christianity was ingrained in like everything that I did, every part of my life, every thought process I had. So I think it can make things really hard in areas that maybe you don't expect. But like you said, you guys have been together for a while. You've known each other for a while. I've heard situations where it works, but I'm just always wary of it because I think that relationships, like, you'll come across like enough obstacles as it is, and I think sometimes that can create an extra barrier. That's hard, but I understand what you mean about kind of wanting to say something, because especially with churches, I've had that situation too where I feel like I'm seeing someone's church or something kind of I don't know if take advantage of them is the right word, but yeah, like harming them in different ways, whether it's their teachings or whatever. I haven't really had the experience of the financial thing, but definitely the like guilt and shame putting onto people with purity culture and stuff is really hard to watch. But it's also really hard to say anything if you are not Christian, because it'll just be seen, I feel like a lot of times, as someone who is unequally yoked or whatever. And so I think it makes it really complicated. Unfortunately, I feel like that doesn't help at all, but
I think you can probably express to her that you are like a little concerned. You could just have the conversation as honestly as you can and just be like, I don't want to get in the way of this thing if it's important to you, but I do want to express it because I think it's important. I am a little worried about the money that is going to the church because it doesn't feel like financially it's the best move. And, I just wanted to express that because I love and care about you. I don't know if you do, but because I love and care about you. And I just wanted to get that off my chest and see what she says. But you can't make her do anything. So the best you can do is just express the concern that you have.
I also feel like it would be a good thing too with the sex thing, maybe say in a way like, I want to make sure you're not feeling, from your perspective, you don't think she should ever feel guilty or shame for wanting to do something that's natural to do in a relationship. Maybe just saying from your viewpoint, not saying she has to do or not do anything, but making that known that you don't see it as like a shame-based guilt thing, and you hope that she doesn't have to feel that way about it.
Yeah, and I can appreciate the input from both of y'all, because we have had a bits of talks, but it's never been like a really serious thing. Like, she's aware, like, because she's also never dated another Christian before, which I find frankly surprising.
Okay.
But and so I guess it is just like I think the big end all, which I don't anticipate this happening, but like I for a moment I had considered, like, what if I just get married so this just isn't a headache, right? We just write a really detailed prenup so I don't lose all my shit. Like, but then part of me is thinking, like, is that just enabling? And I think that's where like the phrasing of enabling abuse, like, am I just enabling this if I were to do such a thing?
Yeah, like conforming to something you don't really even believe in.
Yeah, but you also, like, you're forcing a decision to happen very quickly that you're not that it's very quickly, but it's something that you wouldn't otherwise be ready for. And that's not a great place to start. And if it's coming up now and the rules are starting to change, like if in the beginning the sex was okay, but now the sex is not okay, is not okay, what other things could potentially change in the relationship? And Like maybe we leave some space in the commitment area for things to change and maybe, I don't know, settle before marriage is on the table. Like that, it would worry me that you would marry this girl and then you start to find out all of these other things that like maybe she does actually want to have kids and she definitely needs to raise them in the religion and then you have like a whole other thing on your hands.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, yeah. I can see that. That's why it's definitely like a distant like consideration. But I guess this was like the thing that was like on the forefront of my mind. But I mean, if I step back and take like 5 seconds to think about this, I can definitely see there's probably 1,000 other issues with it. But I guess I was just more curious just about this specific dynamic. Because even beyond this, even if it wasn't a girlfriend, even if it was a friend who was like in a, I don't know, some super egregiously fucked up situation related to their religion, and it was very clearly weighing on them. Like, just in general, like how to deal with that, even if it's not a girlfriend, it's just some other thing.
Yeah. I think the only thing you can do is express your concern, but like that's kind of it, you know? And the way that you would have to do it is also like pretty hands off. Like I just want to say that I'm flagging this and I'm gonna trust your judgment, but it seems a little strange to me. But you can't, you know, she's grown. So, yeah, but there's a lot of people in the chat talking about how maybe the church or her family might have a hard time with her dating somebody who is not within the faith. Has that ever come up? Like, have you had a conversation about that?
Oh, sorry. Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, there's some people in the chat who are talking about how the church or her family probably don't approve of the how you're not religious. Um, have you had conversations about that at all?
That's a good question. So it came up briefly. So her only family that she's really in close contact with is her mom. And I've met her mom and we get along fine. My understanding is that her mom isn't going to like get in the way, but she's like it's more of, from what she has told me, there hasn't been a discussion on the religious difference. I don't know if she's aware of it. But she has a very much like a, you know, God knows what you're doing, but you make your own decisions kind of attitude. But that's all I've heard.
Yeah. All right.
I know that makes me nervous.
That stuff is hard because I know that when I just know how my family reacted to me being with an atheist. But now they don't approve of either of us, so it's fine. But it was definitely hard, and they weren't super vocal about it, but it was like known, and I think that can be really stressful, especially on the person's side who, if that's your family, it can be pretty stressful. Like the pressure of, you know, they think God wants you to marry another Christian. I don't know. It's a tough spot to be in.
No, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of extra little details, but then it can get into a can of worms. But that's generally the gist, and I'm pretty satisfied with what you guys have given me. So I very much appreciate it.
Thanks for calling.
But it's also, I mean, I using the term girlfriend for like very simplified. It's a whole complicated thing. We broke up a while ago, and it's just for simplicity. That's how I've been framing it. But I have some distance from the situation now. And I'm just thinking in hindsight and kind of getting your opinion on it.
Yeah.
And so thank you very much. Can I, and I'm expecting a no here, and like, so feel free to say no, because I know you have to get super chats and I've already taken up a good bunch of your time. And again, thank you very much. There's another thing. It's not as much on the religion front, but it's more on the young man front, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Like it's a completely different topic, but I can call another time if you need to.
I think, well, Lux, how many super chats do we have?
Probably want to call it for now.
All right. Do you want to call back next week, Vince?
I would be delighted. So thank you guys very much for
Splendid.
the time that you've taken and all that business.
Thank you so much, Vince. We'll talk to you next week. Have a wonderful week.
Hey, likewise, you
Bye.
guys. Have a good one.
Bye. I just realized actually he will not speak to me next week because I'm not chewing gum next week with you
You're
guys.
gone?
Is it next week or the week after that? Hold on, let me double check. I know it's actually the week after that. There's
okay.
you guys for 2 weeks in May. There will be no gum chewed on my end. Isn't that crazy?
What? You said 2 weeks in May?
Yeah.
Wait, so is one of them the 19th?
Yes.
I'm gone that Tuesday too, so it was
Ba-na, ba-na, ba-na-na.
I'm like, wow, like who's gonna be running this show?
No wonder the May schedule isn't isn't done. Me and you basically we're like the Spider-Man meme.
Yeah, literally.
Who's gonna be on the show? That's really funny. Okay, well, a new adventure. Yeah, I'll be in New York and out of town for 2 whole weeks. Gonna be awesome.
Fun.
$5 from One-Eyed Weirdo. As a person with invisible disabilities, let's just assume no one is being a big baby when they say they don't feel well or up to doing something. Oh, my friends and I, if the wind blows the wrong way and you're like, I don't want to come, I don't want to be there anymore. Fine.
It's funny you say that because me and my friend literally canceled on each other this morning.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm like, yeah, I'm tired.
Yeah, I don't want to.
See you next time.
Yeah.
$5 from Myra Featherbender. Alex, I have a special hand gesture for your apologetics. Alyssa and Taylor love y'all to pieces. Thank you.
Thanks. $5 from Meg801. Science makes no claims. It will send someone to hell for not knowing science, Alex. Right. I forgot we had that call. Yeah.
Probably for
yeah,
the best.
Yeah, I was about to say not the best. $5 from the atheist mechanic. God said not to murder, then went on to drown and command genocide's confusing message. Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly.
He literally would not answer like any questions.
No, of course not. $5 from William Madies? I say it wrong every time, and you've been here for the longest, and I'm sorry. 1991. Hi, lovely hosts. A friend paid for me to go to a con here soon. Ooh, I'll also be enjoying my first IRL sub dom session. Super exciting. Oh, that is really exciting. Really exciting. I hope you enjoy it and you have a wonderful experience.
$5 from Little Eepy Girl. I like that name. Alex,
Me
you are
too.
such a prick. I like the username, and then the message is actually hilarious.
Yeah.
Keep
Yeah,
the
that's
profile
great.
picture too. Life hard, boobs soft.
I love it. It's so
I didn't
good.
even see that. I love it.
$200 from Billy Sipes. Thank you, Billy. So kind, always.
Oh, thank you, Billy.
So nice. Alex's arguments are intellectually dishonest, and the way he responds with, "Why do you get angry?" is 100% designed to shut down the conversation, which is what theists usually do, and especially his flavor of Christian from my experience. I know. And also, why am I angry? Part of
I don't
it's
even know
also-
why he meant by that.
I know.
I
I didn't even
don't.
think we were that angry, but also, like, Christianity took a lot from my life and my experience. Like, I had so much shit that I had to rebuild from that
Right.
experience, and I was not
Right.
even that deep into it. So, like, yeah, I can be fucking angry if I want to be.
And real quick, this might come off as mean, I hope it doesn't, but something kind of slightly triggers me when Christians have this thing where they come on and they talk so peacefully, and so like
Yeah.
it feels performative, if
Yeah,
you know
I
what I
agree.
mean. I just don't like it. All right.
Yeah.
$5 from Mig 801. Has Alex ever heard of the Crusades? That's the thing, is like if you brought that up though, he would just say they're not real Christians, and it's just an endless
Yeah.
loop.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's heard of them, and he just doesn't care.
Yeah. $10 from Arcane Goat. Oh my God, look at that profile picture. Real Christian argument, take a drink. Yeah, I know, seriously. Yeah, they always do that shit.
$5 from Lil EB Girl again. Alex, some Christians think it is godly and holy to misgender me because I go against God's design. You are such a prick. Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. And there was no listening of well, they use it to justify being hateful too.
Yeah. $5 from Bobby Keniston. Cheese and rice, warm apple pie sold by the slice, cheese and rice, pasta car serves better food than your local bar. Superstar. I don't know what that's from. I saw it come through in the chat too, and I was like, I gotta look
Me
up what that
too.
is.
I just read cheese and rice and I was like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, wait, okay. Pasta car. What's pasta car? I don't know. Bobby, tell us. Tell us in the chat. Sorry.
$50 from Billy. Sipes honestly just paying more in appreciation for kicking Alex. What a person who lives in this world. Thanks again, Billy. You're so sweet.
It's really, really nice. Also,
we appreciate you.
Person who lives in this world. Yeah.
What a person.
Unfortunately. Yeah. Thank you, Billy. So nice. £5 from Mystic Mind Analysis. God sent me a sign the other day when I crashed into a motorway clock. I guess it was the sign of the times. Love it. It's great. Thank you so much.
The chat said cheese maxing. I'll never
cheese
forget.
maxing.
You guys ever get that like yeah scream from like CSI Miami in your head?
No,
at the beginning, it's like yeah, and I think that sometimes.
I love that, and I want that in my brain now too.
But I have constant little things from like TikTok or something that always play in my brain, and it's
me too.
Really,
I'm kind of sad that we can't send like gifts or anything in the chat because there was something. I think it was during that first call with Alex. He said something about maybe it was about us like not being angry or something. And I thought about the Elmo with the flames behind him. I love that meme or that gif so much. Yeah. And I just want to be like, I will not. I love that one. But alas, here we are.
$50 again from Billy Sipes. Rainwood has frustrated me on so many occasions and is still frustrating me, but now I just sort of feel bad for him. He is late in life, but dearly hope he tries to seek help. I was raised like this myself, but need to get better or need to get out of it, brother. Gosh, I can't read. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks
again, Billy.
Yeah, thank you, Billy. It was so funny because everyone in the chat was like, "Oh, Rainwood," and meanwhile, I'm like, "That's just a person from Long Island." Like I've met a million people like that. Like that's just the way that they are, and I know exactly what it is. It's fear-based. He's never met a trans person, obviously, and so he doesn't understand, and so he's going to then spew all of this like hateful, bigoted, terrible stuff, and it's unacceptable.
Yeah.
But it's fear-based. You know. It's ridiculous.
And I love how he's like, ask your grandma, she'll feel the same. I'm like, I promise you she won't. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, she thinks things are terrible now too, but it's for like opposite reasons.
Right. My 95-year-old grandmother is more progressive than you. And also, it doesn't make any sense. I will never understand, why would you ask an older generation what progress looks like?
And also, I think it's very telling what he considers bad and what like the older women in our lives think. You know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know, it's very telling.
Oh, that song, by the way, was The Who. Won't Be Fooled Again by The Who, which is crazy. Yeah. Thanks, y'all. $5 from Alicia on a silver boat. Bigots like Rainwood make me nauseous, and I'm not sorry about that. And you shouldn't be sorry about that.
Fair. $10 from our King Goat 2024. You just know what's in Rainwood's browser history. Oh gosh.
I saw that too and I was like, I know that's fucking right. I know that's right. $5 from Lil EP Girl. Hey Rainwood, I took the hormones and become a progressive communist atheist, autistic, ADHD, OCD, anarchist, Antifa, witch, big-breasted goth. I love that. Sounds like we'd be friends. I love it. Thank you.
$5 from Hank says Rainbow needs to tie a new onion on his belt. His old one is moldy and the fumes are making him stupid. What does that
What
mean?
does that mean? Why? This is something I've never heard before. It kind of reminds me of Shrek, but
I know. I think of the same thing.
yeah,
We have layers.
yeah, layers like an onion. $10 from Arcane Goat. The simple solution to Rainwood's concern is that we have bearded and non-bearded restrooms. Exactly.
No, literally, because why is the breaking point a beard? Why is that your line? That's so weird.
But the best part of it is, again, like, now I know you've never met or seen a real trans person before, because trans men could have beards, and you want those people and the women, like, you don't understand. Like, this is a fear based out of not understanding.
Exactly.
$5 from I don't know. Is this me or you?
I don't know.
Yeah, let's do it. $5 from Metricon 9000. I'll be 42 years old next Saturday. Happy early birthday. And I wish Rainwood would stop trying to speak for me. He's just a bigot and it's gross. T.
I love your possum picture.
Yeah, me too. Oh, there was a Simpsons reference. Oh, the onion belt was a Simpsons reference. Okay, thanks, y'all.
Oh, I never really watched that. I apologize. $20 from the Atheist Mechanic. Sending this to drop Rainwood. He's been banned from other shows. Can we please not take him again? Oh, really? Yeah, I did notice people in the chat were talking as if they were pretty familiar with this person.
I didn't think he was that bad, but maybe I just am like from New York, and I didn't think he was that bad. But
I was looking in Colin's studio this past week, and I think that like all of our previous bands got deleted somehow. Like the most recent bands that were on there were from like, I want to say like late March or early April, like not very long ago.
That makes sense because
we get
Andrew
to
got
rediscover our bands.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like Andrew got
the greatest
through, which
hits
is
of worst callers.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my god. Yeah, that makes sense. Wow. Okay. Well, strap in, y'all. $5 from Legally Mod. Please permaban Rainwood from the entire channel. He's just an old hateful fart without grandchildren to bore on his phone. Yeah. Yeah, but I think I don't know. Am I being delusional for being like, and I think we could change him?
He like kind of gives the vibe that he's open to information, but then it's weird. It kind of reminds me of Andrew, where like he always retreats back to what he actually thinks, but then he'll be like, I understand where you're coming from. And it's kind of like, wait, can we just keep going that route though?
Yeah.
Like you're listening to what we have to say.
Yeah.
$4.99 from David Emmanuel 1226. Alyssa 316 says, I just whooped your ass.
That's right. $5 from Fragmented Phoenix. Wanted to call after the Long Island comment. Grew up in Oklahoma, I assume. Literally chased by teens in a truck at age 9 while they screamed racial slurs. I'm 35. I literally have full body chills. That's so fucking scary. I'm so sorry you experienced that. But exactly, this is what this guy is saying. He wants to go back to however, 20 years ago, and that's what you experienced. That's crazy.
But I love when I asked like what time period do you want to get back to, and like he couldn't say.
Right. He didn't have an example. It's just that's a guy who gets his news from Facebook. That's the vibe.
Right. No, that's facts. $100 from Billy Sipes. I think this is the last super chat I'm allowed to do, but thank you both for all that you do. I wanted to end on a positive note. Thank you so much, Billy.
It's really nice. If you want to
appreciate you.
If you want to hug it out, we can just. It's really nice. $10 from Erica Marika. Thank you so much, Erica.
$5 from Bobby Kingston 7240. Cheese and rice equals Jesus Christ. Pasta car equals superstar. My message is what my friends and I sang in chorus instead of saying, oh, okay, instead of Jesus Christ Superstar.
That's really funny.
So Jesus Christ Superstar is a song?
It's a musical.
Is that what the movie is? Jesus Christ Superstar?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've never watched it, but makes sense.
Yeah. $20 from Fiona F121 for Alyssa's beneficent delusion. Thank you. That's really nice. The chat definitely thinks I'm delusional. That's for sure. Anyway, thank you all for listening today and being so wonderful in super chats and in chat and all the things. Thank you, Lux, for producing, and Dragon for screening our calls and all the mods in the chat. And we're sending you off to another show. So hang tight and you will get redirected to your next entertainment experience.
Someone said, is there anything you have watched, Taylor? That's funny because I watch so much shit y'all don't even know, but just not the right stuff, apparently. Sorry.
We would like a full list for next week. Thank you so much. Bye, y'all. See you next time.